barricades whisper in the hall, where justice wears a mask and truth begins to fall. Every thread they pull, every lie they weave, in the courtroom's dance, who's left to believe? Oh, the devil's in the details, hiding in plain sight, innocent until the gavel steals the light. True crime echoes through the hollow night, fighting injustice with no end. The devil's in the details, hiding in plain sight, innocent until the gavel steals the light. True crime echoes through the hollow night, fighting injustice with no end in sight. A photograph fades where the truth once stood, blurred lines between the bad and the good. The scales they tilt with every silver tongue, while the broken cry for a song unsung. Black robes sway like shadows on the wall, one wrong word and the mighty fall. Who's a sinner? Who's a saint? The jury's out, but the verdict's faint. Oh, the devil's in the details, hiding in plain sight, innocent until the gavel steals the light. True crime echoes through the hollow night, fighting injustice with no end. The devil's in the details, hiding in plain sight, innocent until the gavel steals the light. True crime echoes through the hollow night, fighting injustice with no end in sight.
Ladies and gentlemen, do you want to know why I'm here today? It's not because I want to give you a pep talk or because I want to make you feel good about yourselves. No, I'm here to tell you the truth.
Hey everybody, welcome. I feel like this is the Saturday Night Live thing. Hopefully you can hear my audio. Can you give me a 1 or something in the chat if you can hear my audio? But I feel like I wanted to open up with the intro. I literally was going to sit down in Central, Times Square. I was going to sit in Times Square and say, live from New York, it's Saturday night. I wanted to do that for forever. But unfortunately, I just didn't go down to New York for my second time today. I did go down all day yesterday. I spent hours. Thank you for the ones, by the way, for everybody that's giving me that thing. I've got a special guest, 1-1 on the show here, NYPD police officer. I've been down and seen lots of NYPD police today, so I'm going to talk to 1-1 about that. I'm going to talk about some other things. So I'm going to bring him up very shortly, but I just want to let you know a little bit what's going on. First of all, I wasn't sure I was going to do this live. This is kind of an impromptu thing, but I've missed you guys. I felt really, really disconnected from everybody recently because I'm on this trip and I'm isolated and I'm by myself and I'm feeling very disconnected. And so I just decided, you know what, screw it. I'm going to do it live. These little videos that I'm doing with, members only content for the days in New York, which I'm doing, by the way, for members only. It's not enough. Like I want to share with a larger audience. So anyways, I'm in Long Island. I'm in a place that's called East Meadow. I'm in East Meadow, Long Island. I have I have, by the way, I've taken the gloves off of my fears of New York. I was terrified of coming to the East Coast because I knew that New York was the most populous city in the United States. And I thought to myself, this place is going to be nuts. There's going to be wall-to-wall people. I'm going to get jacked. I'm going to get mugged. It's going to be horrendous. And you know what I found out? New Yorkers are just like everybody else. They're just like everybody else. And what an asshole I was for thinking that somehow they were going to be some brutal asshole people. They're not. At least the areas I'm at. Now, granted, I'm not in the bad boroughs. And I'm going to talk to one about New Yorkers in just a second. So just wanted to say hi to everybody, let you know, get a moment for people to come in and say hi. Good, my lives are never well attended, so this is going to be a small little intimate gathering. But thank you for joining me from New York, from Long Island. I'm going to go ahead and bring up One now. One's not going to be on camera, by the way, but he is going to be on audio. And let me unmute his mic and make sure he's there. One, are you there?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, man. It's so good to hear from you.
Hello, everyone.
I'm excited about this. So, how long you've been NYPD for? How long has it been? Like close to 30 years or some shit? Or what was your career?
22 years.
22.
July 1st, 2003 is when I started. So I just recently passed 22 years.
You know, I never really asked you too much about what you do and whether you're on the street or not. So when I was down there in downtown, I'm like, I wonder if I'm literally going to bump into you. I'm like, nah, he's probably not driving a squad car in downtown New York and Manhattan. And I can't. What's your district or borough that you work in, like in New York?
So I work in Brooklyn. Brooklyn is divided into Brooklyn North and Brooklyn South. I currently work at the 7-6 precinct. It's pretty much, it's the main thing would be considered, I guess, Carroll Gardens or Red Hook, I guess it's known for. It's basically maybe not even a 10-minute drive from the Freedom Tower or World Trade Center. But
I didn't even get to see World Trade Center. I don't think I saw the World Trade Center when I was down there. And there's so many tall buildings that I was all over the place. But like somebody's like, well, can you see the World Trade Center? I'm like, fuck no, I can't see it. There's too many tall buildings in the way.
Yeah.
By the way, I'm gonna try to see if Birdie will come on. Birdie's in the chat, and I'm gonna make sure Birdie has an invite to come in and see if I can get him up on the screen. Because of course, I know Birdie quite well. So let me see if Birdie wants to join us or not. But I wanted to talk to you a little bit about. I want to talk to everybody a little bit about how New York's going and what I'm doing here and why I'm here and stuff like that, and then get your perspective on New York because there's a lot of things that I'm learning. I was tremendously intimidated coming to New York. Like I told you, I was thinking to myself, the wall-to-wall people. I'll be honest with you. I've been to Las Vegas many times. Fremont Street, or even the Strip on Las Vegas is busier than downtown Manhattan. Like there was less people walking around, I think, today when I was, or yesterday in New York, than there is on a typical Strip day in Vegas. Have you been to Vegas much?
Yeah, I've been there. I was there once before. Probably about 10 years ago. But yeah, I would agree with that.
I was kind of, and in fact, what I found was, and I don't know if you know about Fremont Street in Vegas, but Fremont Street is one of my favorite places in Vegas because it's where the freaks come out, and it's a lot of street performers, right? And so I found that, and Birdie's backstage, by the way, so I'll bring him up in just a minute. So I found that Times Square had a lot of a feel of Fremont Street in Vegas. It was street performers, not as many though. That's what stunned me. Like I'm thinking, this is New York. Like I expected to see, like back in the day, the naked cowboy that would walk around in his underwear. Right? Remember him?
Yeah.
And so I was expecting to see that kind of stuff everywhere, and I thought it was going to have the vibe of being a Fremont Street experience, and it was kind of similar. It felt Fremontish, right, but not quite the same. Birdie, give me a thumbs up if you're ready to come on with us. By the way, okay, cool. So I'm going to bring Birdie up as well, and I don't think you'll be offended by having Birdie join us on the screen. Are you there?
Yeah, gentlemen, what's going on?
Hello.
How are you doing, man?
How are you doing?
Hey, buddy. Good to see you, man.
Yeah, it's good to see you guys.
You scared the piss out of me. Yeah, I saw your video that said I was wrong about Kohberger, and then I started to watch your video, and it's like I was fucking wrong. This guy's guilty as hell, and I'm like, oh my god, what happened, Birdie? What happened? And then I realized what you were doing.
Nah, yeah, I said I was like, I got to start playing chess instead of checkers with the algorithm. And last night just it started off so strong, and I I've just been trying to do too much and get too fancy with the stream. So it was like echoing and shit. So that was like the second time that it's happened. I'm like, I'm done. So I did a 2-part series and, you know, but honestly, it was kind of funny because before I joined my live, I was reading my chat. There was a good amount of people that are like, what is he going to say? And then there's other people that are like, they were like, did they clone Birdie? Did they replace Birdie with a version of now that's just going to be like automatic guilter?
You literally, I'm not forgetting you, 1-1, but you literally had part 1 of why I was wrong about Coburg, and I'm like, you're gonna do this for 2 fucking episodes? Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
So anyways, well, hey, congratulations for getting my attention, because you certainly, like, I don't watch a lot of your lives, and it's no disrespect, but you know how busy
No, yeah, I get it.
So anyways, but 1-1 watches your show all the time as well. You probably know 1-1 pretty well as well, right?
Yeah, 1-1. I've never talked to 1-1, so it's nice to officially meet you, dude. And
yeah, likewise.
1-1's the one that got me a little bit over the edge last time on the. It was overserved.
Shotgun Friday.
Yeah, no shit.
I saw when you were on Birdie, when you were on the live, and I saw you like pop a beer early. I'm like, oh shit, it's off the rails now. He's gonna start drinking on live.
I give myself one night a week. One night a week is what I do.
I'm doing the same thing. I got my drink started. I said, fucking, it's Saturday night. I've had a rough week in a way. Like, so I'm just like, I'm ready to just relax a little bit and take some days off of shit.
Anything more than one night, it just takes me. Like, it's sad to say, but it's like, especially in Wisconsin, we everything is drinking here. There's a lot of drinking in Wisconsin, and I don't know. I can't do it. I get done with a weekend up north. I've said this, and I'm like, this isn't worth it, dude. I can't function till the next weekend. You know.
One. Do you drink? Like, I know you smoke a shit ton of cigars, but do you drink at all, or?
Not that much, because I'm pretty much big into the as you know, the keto and the fasting and all that. So I mean,
I found that keto and drinking is vodka. Vodka supposedly has
yeah. Right.
I actually I lose weight when I drink more. I don't eat. I'm not a drinker and an eater. I don't get like the drunchies or anything like that. Like I get skinnier, and then I don't like it either, because although I have nothing to like go get gains for in the gym, I feel like I'm wasting workouts, and it just pisses me off, because then I'm like, I'm wasting my time here, hungover, just surviving, punishing myself. But no. Anyways, I don't want to impede on that conversation too much, because I was backstage right when you guys were talking about, so you're out in New York. You said you thought that the naked cowboy was going to come up and give you a lap dance or something, and then it was like, that's kind of like where you were at. But
and you're like, Dia's going to love that. Like, well, how did they get pigeonholed for that shit? But anyways, yeah, no, I mean, I remember the naked cow. I bet you the naked cowboy hasn't been there for fucking 20 years, right? I remember him, but I bet you he probably hasn't done the thing for 20 years. How long has it been, 1-1? Do you know when the last time the naked cowboy was in New York?
I used to see him all the time. Part of my career when I was a sergeant, basically like 2008 to 2015, I was in Manhattan, and if you work in Manhattan, doesn't matter where necessarily work you're gonna get sent down. I mean, they have, if you saw the number of protests, and I mean, it's insane. Like, people know, like, the big protests and stuff that are going on. Like, there's always something about, against Trump or Black Lives Matter or any of that stuff. But there's all these like, wacky like protests that pop up too, that, could be some group they're protesting about like a video game or like it.
Yeah. You looked like something cut out there for a second. By the way, I have to say, this is one of the reasons. There's many reasons, but one of the reasons why Birdie eats my lunch on live stream is that I didn't do what Birdie normally does. I've been realizing I was gonna say hello to everybody. Birdie's so amazing at making everybody feel like they're part of the show. And here I was beforehand going, hey, welcome, come in. I'm typing it in the chat, and then I take the mic and I get into my guests on the show, and I fucking forget about my audience, which is exactly why Bertie eats my fucking lunch.
Well, and at the same time though, dude, like I was trying to get cute with it and have like the AI read the voiceover, and now I'm just like, I'm not doing the voice. It messes up the aux and the input. I got 9 windows open, and I finally looked at my screen. I'm like, what am I doing? Like I could just have it pop up and read on screen, and it's fine. That helps me. That's like a trigger reminder to be like, oh, okay, somebody, you know. But no, I also think too, DA, one of the things that I enjoy about having the chat, and full transparency, you know I'm not the smartest in the room on every topic, and I think that leaning into the
smart dude, but anyways,
well, I appreciate that, but I'm saying I do think leading into that, it also gives me the confidence to where it's like it feels more of a conversation. So it's like, you know, like last night I was like, oh, there's 2 cell towers, and I misspoke. It's like, oh, there's 3 cell towers. Like it's less confrontational, I guess, when you say something that might be a little bit wrong, and it's helpful.
Right. Because if you're you got to have everything right, but in the live, you're expected to make some mistakes from time to time.
Correct.
And I unfortunately I didn't really I didn't get to really watch your show last night. I was watching the beginning, but then I know you had to shut it down because of the technical difficulty. And then when you came back, it was just it was a little bit too late for me, so I couldn't come in. But I was annoyed because I actually was really interested in what you were showing that guy Toes or whatever, because it's one of the things that's good about your show is that you're not showing like one point of view. So it's really good that you had that guy Toes, and I went in, I actually watched separately like that 6-minute video, and you know, like stuff like that is he wasn't attacking Sherlock Rome, you know, he wasn't going after him, whatever. He's just showing, you know, like info that he had that you know, I guess, disproves a part of what he was saying or whatnot. So, but it's good to show different points of view, and that's what's great.
I don't think I could do it. Like, I don't think my brain could handle it. I think I'm too scatterbrained in the best way. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Like, I have a really hard time. I have like I have very hyper focus on one thing, and it's like sprints. It's mini sprints. Like hyper focus, like I'll obsess over watches. I'll be like, I'm gonna learn everything about watches like today.
Yeah.
And then it'll be like, you know, now I'm whatever it is. But so DA, if you don't know, real quick, just to bring people up to speed on the chat, if you guys were in there, what one's referring to is Sherlock Rome's. He went back to one of my old streams, and he found a screenshot of the Twitch stream, the infamous Grub Truck Twitch stream, and this lady had said, it really bothers me that the timestamps say 3:52. And I had, accidentally kind of debunked this lady by saying, well, that's in the Twitch viewers' local time zone. So if they were on the East Coast, or if they were 2 hours ahead, it's like right now, like your guys' computers, probably depending on what time zone you're in. Well, Sherlock said, well, what if it's not? What if they caught the late food rush after the bars? Like they talked about the rush after the bars close. And there's a compelling argument there, because when the bars close at 2:30, you get the rush after they close. You wouldn't get them prior to the close. But what one's saying is Toes, he went about it the right way. And I don't know if I would ever even like, if I have a guest on screen, I would probably not have somebody who's like shitting on the guest in on that live just from a I guess a flow and a rhythm standpoint. But I went and I watched it 2-1-1, and he was like, right here you can hear the guy say, what time is it? And he goes, oh, it's 2:06. I'm like, see, like that, you have to show that then. You kind of have to show that.
Right.
So I hope that my stream, by the way, has got enough internet speed. I've noticed that I don't know if it's because we're in New York, it's prime time, and people are getting crushed, but we're okay, we're good. That's good.
Yeah, you seem fine.
I wanted to share with you, and Bertie, I hope you'll stay, and you'll I know you're going to stay. You need to stay. I wanted to kind of share with you my experience about what I'm doing in New York. One of the people asked me in the chat just a moment ago, hey, DA, are you here for Luigi Mangioni's case? Yes and no. I'm here for Luigi Mangioni, and I'm here for Long Island serial killer Rex Heuermann. I want to put boots in the ground. I don't have anything major. I did have an interview set up with somebody that's a major piece potentially for the Long Island serial killer case. That hasn't panned out yet. She and I are having some issues getting our schedules worked out, but I am talking to her, and hopefully I'll have some big information. I did meet with John Ray. Oh my God, John Ray. That was such an experience for me. I literally am still pissing my pants that I had that experience. My life, as an aside, my life has gotten crazy. That I sat with John Ray and we talked bullshit about the Long Island serial killer. It was fucking. I'm stunned that my life has changed so much that I had that opportunity. What an opportunity!
Awesome.
And I have some stuff that I got to keep up on the down low. We had some confidential discussions about some shit. Holy shit! I am on some research that I hope to break some major shit in the Long Island serial killer case. But we'll talk about that.
Give us a teaser, if you could.
I wanted to share with you a little bit about Luigi. Like there was some drama that happened. Here's a teaser. One, John Ray informed me of something that he said nobody knows yet. It's a major case win that he got. A judge ruled in his favor on something. I'm just making sure with him before I mention it that it's public knowledge that he won that decision. Holy shit! It has to do with the Long Island serial killer case. It has to do with Shannan Gilbert, but I won't necessarily. I can't really tell you for sure until he confirms that it's okay to say it. But he said, I said, I've never heard that. He goes, nobody knows it yet. I'm like, fuck! Like I literally was here to hear that for the first fucking time.
Yeah.
It was so awesome. It was like the best moment ever. I was like, I think I'm gonna pee myself a little bit. Got a great selfie with me and John Ray in his office. It was epic. Holy shit! Another teaser. I'll tell you about the Rex Heuermann thing. How do I say this without making anything? In my conversations, I learned that there may be way more to the Rex Heuermann case than we imagine. Unfortunately, at trial, of course, it's always going to be just about did Rex Heuermann kill these 7 women that they're accusing him. That's going to be it. That's all.
Right.
The story behind Rex Heuermann is way bigger than that, and it'll never come out in trial. So I hope that someone like myself and other independent researchers can pull the strings and start saying you missed a major part of this story because you were looking for the easy answer.
Like another victim, or like more victims, or like a cover-up coordinator, or
like who cover-ups who he was connected to and who is involved with. Rex Heuermann, Rex Heuermann may not have been killing alone. That's a big thing. He may have been connected with people, potentially even in law enforcement, and that'll explain why they dismantled the tax force into him. Again, that'll never come out in trial. They're never going to ask those questions in trial. So those are the biggest things that can happen. I want, But
that was a big thing that came up with Shannan. With I don't think we've heard the full unredacted 911 tape, but I mean I know John Ray has it, but what they did release that was always kind of like, to me, sort of like the smoking gun. Even I'm sure Shannan was whatever drugs or whatever, if she was intoxicated or God knows whatever she was taking at the time. But on that 911 call, I mean, she clearly says, if I remember correctly, she says they're gonna get me, or they're gonna. I don't think she said they're gonna kill me. It was either they're gonna kill me or they're gonna get me. She didn't say, like, I could picture it, like, even if you were like, you were out of it and someone's trying to come after you or whatever, you call 911, like, you would say, the guy who's trying to kill you, he's going to get me, or she has a knife, she's going to get me. You wouldn't say they're trying to kill me. She specifically said they. So.
And I know Bertie, you're not super into that case yet. I'm still trying to twist your arm to get into that case.
I do have a question for 1-1 on that, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
So 1-1, you said, like, the partially redacted, you said there was a smoking gun in that. I have to ask you, for being in law enforcement, what is the purpose of redacting 911 calls when the case is about to go on? I don't understand it. Is it? And the only thing that I can think of logically in my head is that, well, are they building a case against somebody else and they don't want that part heard publicly? But then I'm also like, well, they could do the case on that person at the same time. You know what I'm saying? Like it just seems like they're making more of a mess.
Yeah, they are, and specifically in this case, I mean, I'm not sure how familiar you are with the whole case, but I mean, what they had to go through, what Shannon's, I mean, they were trying to get the 911 calls, the release of the 911 call like forever, and they couldn't get it. And John
It took,
Ray, he had to go through litigation and all kinds of stuff to get it. And in this case specifically, I mean, they're just like kind of brushing Shannon, oh yeah, Shannon was just, she was just a run of the mill, whatever, escort prostitute, nothing to see here. No one, no one cares, whatever. She drowned, that's it. There's nothing to see. There's nothing on the 911. And then you hear at least what we're able to hear, even, and I know it's not the fully unredacted part, but what we do hear, I mean, she's clearly in distress. Like how, where it makes no sense at all. I mean, it's definitely a cover up. Definitely a super cover up.
right.
I'm sure there.
John Ray was verbal about this on the interview that I did with him. He said it again when I was sitting in his office again. He hit the same points in our interview, which is that how did they rule Shannan Gilbert as a accidental drowning, and they ruled that really early, even though, as John Ray will tell you, and I got it reiterated to me when I was in his office, that she was found prone position, sitting as she drowned. Her hyoid bone in her neck was broken, indicating that she had been strangled. But they immediately ruled it a accidental drowning. Then you've got the problem is, if it's an accidental drowning, how the hell do you fight John Ray for 3 years over the 911 call, saying that nothing happened there and there was no distress in the call? If it's, I asked him that and didn't get an answer. How you can't hide behind it. It's an ongoing investigation if you've already ruled it an accident. So if it's a homicide, then yeah, ongoing investigation. How do you fight him for 3.5 or whatever it was years over the 911 call, when it supposedly has been already decided it was an accident? Then it's not an open case. So I will tell you as a teaser before you talk, Bertie, as a teaser, the information I'm not telling you, it has to do with Shannan Gilbert's death. So that's a
wow. Teaser. Well, and I was just gonna say, I am not this huge like anti-system guy, right? Like I've said, all I want is for the system to work how it was designed. And it's like, you could say, oh, it is working how they're designing it. No, it's working in the way that they're forcing it to work. You know what I mean? It's working exactly how like the powers that be want it to work. But what I'm going to say about this 911 call stuff, and why I kind of had led with that question to 1-1, is I do wonder with like this AI stuff and how Palantir and the predictive police program and all that shit, like I'd be curious if there could be like a guardian, like a public guardian AI that could make sure that like things like body cam, things like 911 don't get manipulated during a trial or something. Do you know what I mean? Instead of having to go through the litigation for it, if it could just confirm, no, this is the raw metadata, you have the raw metadata. And I don't know if that's something that we could do, because why is that becoming more of the norm? They're tearing down and they're getting rid of crime scenes. They're redacting 911 calls. They're scrubbing scanners. They're doing all this stuff. And it's like, that's not how it should be, you know?
Yeah. So I had put a message in your, I know it's hard when you're streaming and there's, whatever, 800 people in the thing, sending messages. So it's hard to catch everything. But I believe, I think Lana covered, she had mentioned something about it, from, Truth and Transparency, I think at one point, but I don't know if anyone ever put, that I'm aware of, that did a specific FOIA request for the police radio transmissions, and that would help greatly.
That's a great
can
idea.
They manipulate? Could they manipulate that? Could they play around with that? Yeah, I mean, I guess they can play around with anything, but that would be extremely interesting. That would help to kind of correlate with Sherlock Holmes and this manipulation of the time and the the Banfield stop, the sign stop, drunken guys stop, and also the summons. They wrote a summons too
The
to
rumor
some
of
of
a
these
3
people.
a.m. call.
Yeah, yeah. But those radio transmissions that it's going to be really hard to. I mean, anything is possible if the right
Of
person, I
course.
guess, is involved. But it would be
I,
great to see like a log of the radio of the because they definitely have there's definitely a radio transmission of when they have these guys stopped and different at
Yeah.
different points. I would love to see what time the rate what time they have logged down.
Yeah. And DA, I was just going to say for this case, that would be helpful.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and see, it was funny because I started out to tell people about Luigi Mangione, and we got off on Rex Heuermann. I'm a mess. Yeah. And I was going to say, like, the FOIA request. I mean, I got to come back to FOIA requests because I want to fill out FOIA requests, but I'm super cynical about FOIA requests. They fight you tooth and nail and always tell you it's an ongoing investigation. And they fight.
Or they make you pay.
It's a nightmare. Or they make you pay $20,000.
Ridiculous. Ridiculous.
Yeah,
ridiculous.
Right. So
I've got minions. Come on.
I got minions that are trying to help submit FOIA requests. Let me go backwards for a moment. We had a little bit of let me say this. I want to address something. We had a little bit of drama on my Discord because I'm here for Luigi Mangione and the Long Island serial killer case, just to put boots in the ground or whatever. But there's not a lot I can do with Luigi Mangione. But the first thing, people, I have people who are pissed because legal documents came out on Luigi Mangione, and they're like, DA doesn't give a shit about Luigi Mangione anymore. Documents just came out, and he's ignoring it. And I'm like, I'm in fucking New York, literally on the goddamn street, and I stood on the spot. The first day I went to New York, I stood on the spot that Brian Thompson was shot, and you're telling me I don't give a fuck about the case? Like, I'm mad. So I was like, So anyways, we had a little bit of drama, because people are like, DA doesn't care about this case. And I'm like, what else do you want me to do? I'm literally in downtown New York, in Manhattan, standing on the spot where Brian Thompson was shot, walking through Central Park, where Luigi Mangione allegedly went into the park, looking for the places that are tied to the scene. And you're telling me I don't give a fuck about this case? Like, okay, I'm mad. But the point, the point being is that it's blown over a little bit right now, but I just want to tell people I am here. I'm here for Luigi Mangione and the Long Island serial killer case. So,
yeah, I think too, dude. Though
it's probably look like you were going to say something there for a second.
Oh, I was just going to say, dude, it's probably because like people just like the way you cover the case. I don't think they're talking shit. I like listening to you cover it in that way, so I could see why people are like, come on, DA, get on the new stuff. And the other thing that I was going to say, why is it a thing as humans that we like to go stand on spots where people were assassinated? Like the JFK, they put an X in the middle of the road, like you're standing where this guy's shot and killed. Like, what's wrong with us? Here we are. Hey, Mom, I'm out in New York standing in, I'm standing where a CEO was murdered. And here's me in Dallas standing where the president was assassinated. Like,
One I was going to mention, I don't remember the details, but I literally walked past a spot in Central Park that was a huge memorial to John Lennon. And I went, holy shit, like, did John Lennon get shot right here in Central Park? Right? Was that where it happened? Because I mean, there was a huge memorial. There was a guy actually sitting there, a street performer.
I don't think it was in Central Park. I don't believe it was in Central Park. It was
part of the street.
Yeah.
But there was a big memorial inside Central Park, and they were selling pendants and stuff to John Lennon and all kinds of stuff there.
One. Are the men in suits real in Central Park? Is that rumor of like for like decades people have seen like these silent suited men that just wander around the park at dark and dawn with briefcases and they just meander around?
Yeah,
like, is that real?
Yeah, there's some interesting characters. Yeah.
Are they like, what is it? Do people think they're ghosts? Because like what is it? Because it's like they vanished near this reservoir or something.
Yeah.
What do you mean? Yeah. What are you talking about?
What do you know? What do you know?
I need some more drinks. What do you mean? Yeah. Yeah. There's some guys disappear in the fog. I don't know why it just happens. Come on. What is that about?
It's a typical New York experience.
What do you fucking know? What do you know?
What do you know, dude? Are you covering up? Are you part of the conspiracy?
No.
Well, all right. I guess we can move on to the next topic because we're not going to get it out of you.
I gotta tell you. First of all, I want. It's funny because I'm all over the place. I want to tell you about my experience about arriving in New York and losing my luggage for 2 days. I didn't have my luggage for 2 days. No clothes for 2 days. I had to go see John Ray. I had to go to John Ray's office wearing sweats that smell like sweat because I drove for 6 hours to the airport, sat on a plane between two sweaty men, and then I got to go to John Ray, and I'm smelling like I'm freaking. Like, I don't know, I can make an inappropriate joke. But I'm not smelling pretty, right? And I've got to go see John Ray in my sweats. And I'm like, I told him, it's like, no disrespect, man. I would have dressed up a little bit more, but I'm still waiting for my luggage. 2 days later, it took me to get my luggage. But anyways, one thing I don't even know where to start, but I wanted to tell you about this moment. I got cussed out in New York City. Before I got two great moments in New York City. First of all, like I said, New Yorkers, by the way, are very, very normal people. They are just like everybody else. So that was surprising to me because I hear all these horror stories about New Yorkers, and it's not true. But I did have two weird experiences, and I wanted to share those real quick because I know people like stories, right? So the first thing, I decided to get like fucking a coney dog or something, right? I'm sitting at the entrance of Central Park, and I'm sitting next to pigeons, literally sitting next to pigeons. And I hear this woman yelling, right? And she's like, you motherfucker, I told you I'd follow you. And I'm like, and I'm looking around and I realize she's talking to me. Like, she's literally talking to me. Yeah, I'm like, are you talking to me? Because I'm like the only one here. And I'm looking at her, and she's eye locked on me. You motherfucker, you owe me lunch. And I'm like, how the fuck do I owe her lunch? And she's like, yeah, you're on YouTube. And you're on YouTube and you owe me lunch. I want lunch. and there was a moment where my vanity was like, does she recognize me from YouTube? And I'm like, there's no fucking way street urchin just recognized me from YouTube. She doesn't even have YouTube. So I realized what was happening is I was wearing my DA merch, right? So I had the YouTube thing on the back, right? It says YouTube channel, right? So at that moment, I realized people were starting to give me the eyeball because they're like, hey, is that guy with a YouTube channel? So, but it was funny because, like I said, she was cussing me out, telling me that because I'm a YouTuber, I owe her lunch because apparently I'm rich because I'm a YouTuber. That myth can be put away right now. We're not fucking making a ton of money on YouTube. But anyways, I thought that was funny.
I feel like you should have stood up. You should have like channeled this. The last time on the show, you were like, you know what? I'm gonna cross the street before the sign tells me I can cross the street. This time, you should have stood up and you should have just like channeled your inner like, are you fucking talking to me? You're talking to me? And sound like chirping.
You must be talking to me. I'm the only one standing here.
Yeah. Take the hot dog and just put it in her mouth. Like
one. This is hilarious. One. You're gonna love this. So Bertie is talking about him, and it's so cool that we have these inside things together. So I told a story one time about how I was this pansy rule follower, right, who would stand in the corner and the sign would say "Don't walk," and some guy would just, what did I say? Cocksure guy.
Oh no, yeah, you said some guy just cockswagger.
Cockswaggers across the thing and doesn't worry about being told that it's okay to walk, right? I will tell you this one. Here's how much I matured. There was two NYPD officers standing right next to me. The sign said "Don't walk," and I fucking walked right across the street right in front of them. Right in front of them. I just fucking walked right in front of them. And you know what? They didn't care because about 30 other people were walking across that crosswalk at the same time as me. So yes, I have grown a little bit.
YouTuber arrested in New York City for jaywalking.
They didn't give a shit. Are they going to arrest 30 of us? There was like 30 of us that walked across that street during a "Don't walk" sign. So it was a great moment for me, sir. But yeah, obviously, is there jaywalking rules? One in New York. I mean, could they cite you for that?
There is. I never really used it, but it, when it comes down to it, if you have what you would call, say like a target. So, what do I mean by like why would someone be a target? It pretty much like anyone would be like a career like recidivist. So, and especially now with the bail reform laws that we have in New York. Thanks for Cuomo for signing off on that. these, you commit a robbery, you get arrested. I mean, you wouldn't believe how many times, like, the officer is he's still processing the arrest, and the you'll have someone coming back to pick up their property and whatnot from the arrest, and the cop's not even done yet, like processing.
Wow.
Insane. So it's in the past, before they changed like all these like law. I mean, some of the stuff is still used, but you use some of these. People are like, oh, I can't believe, why, that's like so ridiculous. Like, oh, the cops like are, horrible and whatever. Like, why are they busting people's chops? Which, believe me, the cops aren't, they're not busting people's chops for jaywalking and stuff like that. But some of these rules and stuff that are on the books, you know, it's helpful to use as your advantage. I mean, just like off the top of my head, not per se like a stop that an officer made in particular, but how did the son of Sam get caught from a parking ticket, right? So it's
Yeah.
like a
Yeah.
minor. So some of these minor things. So you have someone that's a target. So there might be someone, maybe there's someone we know that, a certain person, like this guy is a extremely violent, or this guy's like a career, these people don't, especially now with the the laws that we have, they don't stop. So yeah, you arrest them for a burg, they're right back out. But unfortunately, we still have to, we still got, you know, the captains and the commanding officers and all these people, they still have to answer for there are people who still live in these areas. Like, what the hell is going on? And it'll, it's not going to change unless people, you know, vote in different politicians, and then they change some of these laws and some of these rules. But so what they'll, these low level offenses definitely help. I mean, the big thing that helped, when we had Rudy Giuliani, and then after him, Bloomberg, I was an officer and a sergeant, and I was involved with, you know, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of stops. And yeah, they definitely abused the stop question and frisk policy. Um, which is still, it's not illegal now. It's still a legal precedent, that we're able to use today. But, the big thing that they kind of adopted, uh, so from like the late '90s and early 2000s, it was all the basically the broken windows policy, which is, you know, you have an area that has high level crime, drugs and gang stuff. What, use the, you enforce the low level stuff, and you wind up getting, all these different
Hires.
people that have, right, guns and drugs, and you get these guys off,
I got.
off the street.
I'm going to ask you a really awkward question. I don't,
Yeah.
I don't know if you patrol, drive around in your squad car anymore, or whether you're more behind a desk kind of thing. But there's a scenario. So it's funny because you talk about using low level crime or stuff like that to get to higher fruit, right? Like a broken window.
Right.
How much truth is there to the idea that an officer will say your tail light's not working or something like that as just an excuse to pull you over because they want some other reason to look at your car, and they use the, hey, your tail light's out or whatever? Can you elaborate on that without getting yourself in trouble on whether or not that's ever used?
That's used all the time. That's used every day.
I love your honor.
That's used every day, every tour,
It's
precinct uses that.
hilarious.
But because you're gonna get I mean, we have officers who, maybe they have some time on or whatever, or they took the job. They wanted the benefits and whatever, but they're not like trying to, it's just same with like, any job that you have. You get some people who want to, they want to be more active. They want to be out there trying to, arrest the gangs and all that kind of stuff. Absolutely. That stuff is used
That's
all
so
the time.
awesome.
But
How
what I
how
can
about how
tell
about
you
that?
is,
Yeah,
well,
go
I
ahead.
can tell you is the big change, the huge change, and which is why, besides from bail reform, and this would be the case, I guess, in really in any state that this happens, but specifically in New York. So one of the huge things that we use to our advantage, which again changed under Cuomo, marijuana is now legal in New York. So in New York, in New York, basically any place that you can legally smoke a cigarette, you can smoke a joint. You can have marijuana. But you
One more.
can, but yeah,
I have to say that surprises me because I
Yeah.
did not smell weed down in New York. Like if it's legal to
really,
light up, I did not smell anybody. I didn't smell pot anywhere in New York.
I could take you some places.
I feel like I smell it just driving behind people
Yeah,
on the highway, dude. Like I feel like it comes through my
but
vents and shit.
Right.
but the huge change in, besides from bail reform and some of the other, and that we have this thing called raise the age, where it basically like raise the age of like minors who commit crimes that they're not really considered crimes, and so that's a whole disaster itself. But the huge thing was marijuana, because the way it used to work at least in New York, um, if I pulled, let's say, like you said, I pull you over, you didn't say, I'm following you, or I'm driving, whatever. You don't signal, and I pull you over. And the second I pull you over, I smell marijuana. I smell an odor of marijuana coming from your car.
But
So
one
either
more. You
yeah,
have to smell marijuana, or can you just be like, I smell marijuana, and who's going to argue with you that you smell marijuana? You know what I'm saying?
yeah. Well,
You
I
never use
mean,
the
I mean,
hey,
you,
I think I smell
you,
marijuana.
uh, well, I mean, you try to,
I don't want to get you in
I've
trouble. I
never,
don't want to get you in trouble.
yeah. I mean, I never said that. I never said that I smelled it and it wasn't there. Like if I was involved in a stop, and I was involved in many, um, if we smelled it, it was there, or we saw, you know, little pieces on the floor or whatever. And what that enabled us to do. So right now in New York, you get pulled over. Um, the officers, which I know, a little different than Pennsylvania, you are required
Yeah,
to show a driver's license in New York. Um, and any stop,
I love that you
and,
said that. I love that you said it was different.
and yeah, and any stop that you do, you do have the right, you have to articulate. I mean, um, so I know someone say, "Oh, you could just make it up," but what'll happen is they'll start making. Believe me, the people make civilian complaints left and right. So you will get a history of complaints, and then these people will start suing you, and eventually it will catch up to you. So if you're like, oh, the cops can just lie and whatever, but you do have the right to remove anyone you want. Uh, but you have to articulate what is the reason from a car. So if I pull you over, you have you didn't signal, and uh I've maybe there's some, maybe it's a drug prone location. Maybe there's even someone in your car who I know has a previous history, um that you know that gives me further info and whatnot, but I'm allowed to pull you out. However, right now, I'm only allowed to check the lungeable, grabbable area. That's
So
within,
the lunch. Okay,
that's within your, yeah.
That's different than bumper to bumper search.
Yeah. So that's what I was getting at. In the past, before they made, before marijuana was legalized here, if I smelled marijuana or I saw marijuana, even if it was a little like speck, I could do a bumper to bumper search on your car. I could check your trunk. I could check everything. And I know, like, you would think, so you would think that, oh, these gangs or whatever, cartel units or whoever's like moving the drugs around, you would think, oh, well, they should just be smart then, right? And and make sure that people transporting the drugs don't have any marijuana. No, they're, that, I don't know. I wouldn't say like, oh, they don't care, but, it was the nexus that helped us get many arrests and many guns, many weapons, off the street. But now that marijuana is legal, that marijuana exception is now gone. So
I thought
the only thing, obviously, if I pull you over and you're smoking a blunt or you're high while driving, it's a similar thing of being of like a DWI type thing, but that's different. Right.
I thought DA was going to ask you how many. I don't know why. I'm not trying to be inappropriate. I thought DA was going to be like, how many people have you shot? That's where I thought you were going. You're like, how many people have you pulled over for a false taillight? I'm like, oh shit, DA's about to just be like,
I never thought about asking one if he's ever had to shoot someone.
No, I've luckily I've never had to shoot anyone. Hopefully I never have to. Have I pulled my gun out? Yes, many times. So I mean, I've had, but yeah, it's not something, cops don't go out and say like, oh, I want to be in a shooting. I want to be in a shooting.
No,
today.
no, that's not what I meant either.
Question.
Yeah,
a random question, Ron. But I have to. It's random. But you and I were talking. So I had heard law enforcement officers traditionally had used a 9mm round way back in the day, and that they moved to 40 caliber because a 40 is a slower round. It doesn't tend to blow through people, therefore it has less risk to other people on the street. If you hit somebody, it's going to knock them down first because it has more knockdown power, and it doesn't blow through them. And I was surprised when you told me one time when we were talking kind of about things that
Really?
NYPD still carries 9mm. Can you elaborate on that? Like, why is that the case? And is it true that 40mm is
That's true. Yeah, it's pretty much true. I mean, they've actually been trying to get us to go to 40 caliber for a long time. I mean,
What
you should see how long.
Like for a carry weapon, like I carry a 9, but are you saying is there anything that you would recommend to people? Is a 40 the way to go for that reason?
A 40 would definitely, I definitely would carry a 40 over 9mm. It's more stopping power. Definitely.
Of course.
No
but
question,
like from
no
what
question.
DA is saying, I mean, obviously here's the thing. Like this birdie has a little 22 and it's like, you get a 22. I'm like, well, at the end of the day, God forbid, you never want to use it. You don't flex it. You pray to God you don't have to use it. I'm like, but are you going to stand in front of it? No, you're not. Right. So,
a gun is a gun, right? So you're not going to stand in front of a gun.
Yeah.
But I think that's interesting. I've actually never thought about it from a slower round standpoint.
Right. So the logic is a 9mm is a little faster round, and it tends to blow through you, and therefore can hit other people if it goes through. So if it goes through and through the body, it could hit an innocent bystander, right? So a 40 does two things, in my understanding. It has more stopping power, so it knocks the person on their ass, and it doesn't go through the body as often, so therefore it doesn't hit innocent people. That's kind of the logic behind it.
How crazy is it?
Yeah,
I'm not laughing. We're just talking about guns and what round do we need to take someone down, boys? It's like, of course, we're not out here doing that. But, dude, I was just gonna say one. I think it's really cool that you're able to talk about this stuff, especially NYPD. When I think of NYPD or like LAPD, or I don't know if it's because of TV shows, but it just seems like you guys are always busy. So I'm not surprised to hear like you've had to pull your weapon many, many times. I'm not surprised to hear you're doing all these stuff. It just seems always busy. It's not like a little town out in the Midwest.
I was just telling Lee that so yesterday he was going around Manhattan and I don't know all the details, but my boss where I work, he had the Brooklyn South duty, which basically means so Brooklyn South covers there's 13 precincts. So at any given moment, if something major happens, you have to have someone that's like a captain or higher that will respond to they call, you know. So he was the duty captain in charge, you know. I went into his office, you know, we were talking about some stuff and he was like, oh, the 7-2 precinct just had a homicide. And I was like, oh, wonderful. And he was like, yeah, he's like, you wouldn't believe it. It wound up being it was a gay couple, two males, and I guess there was some kind of argument, fight, or whatever, and the one male he chopped up the other guy, cut his head off, and dumped all the body parts in a garbage can and just put it out in the trash.
You know what? You know what's funny? I have to say this.
Crazy.
I have to say this one. I can see why most New Yorkers. Why would you be terribly concerned about that? It doesn't involve me. It's two people that had a beef with each other, and something happened, and so a guy got chopped up, put in the garbage can. Who gives a fuck? Like I can understand the logic, right? But follow the logic here. Hold on, Bertie. What we're concerned about is random acts of violence, right? We don't want to be the guy that just got shot because he was walking by someplace at the wrong place at the wrong time. To me, there's a part of me that feels less concerned about they had a personal beef with each other. They got into a fight, and one guy killed another person. I have to say, I give less of a fuck about that than
it's personal.
Right.
Yeah, I agree with that. The one thing that as I've gotten older, I'm sure everybody goes through this phase. As I've gotten older, like when I was younger and I was in like high school and college, dude, I loved going to like large gatherings, right? Like concerts, like festivals. And don't get me wrong, I still like to go. But it's interesting. Like as I get older, I'm like, damn, dude, like it just takes one maniac. It just takes one maniac. And I hate that I think like that, but I can't even imagine if I was a police officer how much more my head would probably be on a swivel, because at the same time, I'm just thinking it. I'm not like looking. I wouldn't really know what to look for unless it was like very obvious. You know? Do you feel like that?
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you. So one of the things, you know, especially like I would think probably like 99% of cops, especially anyone that has kind of like my time on. So I have 22 years of service, and pretty much anywhere I go, I'm just used to constantly scanning the area. So wherever I go, like I'm with my family, it doesn't even matter, you know, if I'm going to a gas station, if I'm going to the grocery store, I'm always scanning. I'm always watching people. It's just part of, you know, you can't
I do that all the time myself, and I'm not an officer.
I can't really turn it off. No. And you know,
it's a weird feeling. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And everybody's felt it. I get a little bit. So like Mrs. Birdie and I, we went to a Packer game, like a month ago, something like that. And we were like, geez, dude, like Lambeau Field, if you've ever been to Lambeau Field, it's never not popping. Yeah. Like preseason, Monday night, Thursday night, it's packed. Dude, there was like nobody there. And we were like, what is going on?
Wow.
And so Miss Birdie goes and looks up on Facebook. Well, there was like a bomb threat. And then it disappeared. Like the article was like, like, is that real or is it not real? And I want to ask you, is there stuff where like they will not report that? Because if it was something that maybe somebody did have an inside scoop on, but it was handled in a way where, like, how much influence would the cops have on, like, guys, just take that down. We don't need that. We had it handled. It wasn't a real threat. We got on it. It was a confusion.
Yeah, they do try. They keep a lot of stuff hidden.
Okay.
100%, because they don't. I mean, especially like they don't want
Mass
mass
panic.
riot. Yeah, mass panic. So they have to be careful with what they release. And, um, there's always issues, obviously, if you have, if there's like, you know, a murder or something going on and they they have a good idea at who it is and whatnot. Do they, release, do they release this info to the public or not? So it's always
Yeah.
like a catch 22. They don't, this guy to disappear and wind up in New Zealand someplace and we never get him. But I can say there are cameras and you're not escaping
Yeah.
maybe, look at, although the stuff is whatever, being hidden from us and redacted and whatever, but even look now and to whatever, 2022, Moscow, Idaho, which, obviously doesn't come close to like a New York City,
You're
and
right.
look at all
Right.
look at all the camera, and I'm not even the cops, like the cameras that people have, and the gas station camera and this camera. In New York City, you can't go anywhere you go, you're on camera. So,
Isn't that weird?
Oh, one. I
but
got to
just
ask you a question.
but just real quick, just to address what you brought up, um, going to a place with a large amount of people. So I've done training, I've done drone training, and it is pretty scary stuff. So, um, I didn't really have to worry too much. Obviously, like Madison Square Garden is completely sealed, but a place that anything that's open. So obviously, like Giants Stadium. That's actually New Jersey. We don't cover it, but um, that would that's like the big football
Vulnerable.
stadium. That's like the big football stadium. A lot of New Yorkers obviously are Giant fans. Um, they have like a drone. They'll have a whole unit they're just trying to monitor like drones and whatnot, and
Jeez.
it's pretty scary because they have not to scare people, but the technology and the stuff that they have right now. So any drone, people who know about drones, there's usually some kind of um, there's some kind of instruction built into the circuitry and whatnot that the drone will return to, the person who, put the drone up. But it's very easily like altered and whatnot. And if you think about it, like anyone that's going to actually try to do something that's really damaging or to hurt people, do you think they really care about getting the drone back to
No.
them? They don't care. Right.
I've
So,
seen way too much effed up stuff on X in the Ukraine war and these
right.
drones. And dude,
Yeah,
I'm
it's
like,
scary. It's
it's
really scary.
terrifying. And
You're not wrong. You're not wrong to be worried about that.
I hate watching them.
I'm surprised that, to be honest, that someone hasn't tried something more with that.
Dude, it's weird. And gentlemen, I gotta hop off. I got a
All
lovely
right.
date watching this documentary with my wife, and she's waiting for me. So I will see you guys later.
All right.
See you guys.
Be
Nice to meet
good.
you,
Say
Bubba.
hi to
Bye.
Mr.
Yeah,
Bird.
nice to meet you.
Say hi to
I
Mr.
will.
Bird from me.
Thanks, DA. Peace.
All right. Be well.
Yep.
Thanks for coming. Yeah, and by the way, State of the Deep, Joe from State of the Deep might be joining us here pretty soon too. So,
Oh, nice.
And if you have to go one, that's fine. But I hope you stay around. But yeah, it was to go back to my experience with coming into New York, I was so intimidated with coming to the big city, and everything was new to me, right? So I knew that I had planned out to get a Lear, right, train, Long Island Railroad into Grand Central Station, and the next day I was going to go into Penn Station, and I have to say this, holy shit, like I was so wrong about what I felt the perception of New York was. When I came into Grand Central Station, it was immaculate. It was beautiful. There was beautiful lights. Everything was it felt like marble. It probably wasn't marble, but everything was just beautiful, well lit, really clean, And I thought to myself, how does this reconcile with the, you see all these things on TV of the dirty subways and the late night shit and just sketchy people everywhere.
Yeah.
There was none of that. It was none of that. It was super clean. It was super amazing. I was like, what? How did I get misled from TV that New York's beautiful, at least during that time of day in Manhattan?
Well, yeah. Well, the places that you went, but remember the New York City subway there's like over 100 different stations, and
Yeah.
they definitely have had an increase in crime. I mean you saw it was like the end of August they had we actually had someone set on fire. So
someone set on fire, right?
Yeah.
In the station, right? In the station.
In the train on the subway. Insane.
I thought, I had a great camera. I had a great camera rolling. I have to say, there's a part of me that was like, I want to see something crazy go off the hook. But then again, I don't want to see anybody hurt. But I wanted to share with you a moment. Was it MTC? Is that the name of a police station or Metro? Okay, so let me say this. So I was in the down.
Well, MTA, you got Metropolitan Transit Authority. So Metropolitan Transit Authority, they cover a train that they do go to Long Island. They go to New Jersey. They do have a station that work. They're also at Penn Station because there's a bunch of trains that go to New Jersey. So the MTA, Metropolitan Transit Authority.
So I think I was in Penn Station. I was leaving Times Square to go back to Long Island, to the Hicksville, and I think I was in Penn Station at that point. And there was probably 10 officers of Metropolitan Transportation Authority, MTA. Right? So they were dressed like dressed like cops with guns there. And I gotta say, all these fucking guys looked like goddamn linebackers. I mean, they were huge dudes with huge muscles, and there was like 10 of them all standing around. And it was funny because I heard a moment on their walkie-talkie or whatever you want to say. The subject is black male in his 20s. Arriving, whatever. So they were literally looking to pounce on somebody that was coming off of a train or a subway or whatever. And I was like, oh my God, shit's about to go down. I'm going to get top-notch video. Now, unfortunately, that shit was playing out way too slow. But there was a moment that I was like, this is going to be amazing. But I got bored and I was like, okay, I gotta move on. I gotta get places to go. But I was curious from you to explain to you how the MTA or whatever the transport, are those quote unquote real cops? How does it relate to an NYPD? Explain to me that a little bit.
Yeah, they're real cops. Just that their jurisdiction is, like I said, they'll cover train lines that go to New Jersey, to Connecticut, to Long Island. That's their thing. So they have a station at Penn Station, but if something happens on one of the so if something happens on one of their on one of their on the train or whatever, like they pretty much will deal with it, but they'll have to so they have to be versed kind of like in what the Connecticut law is, what New Jersey law is, what New York law is, but they solely deal with like those specific like trains that go to those locations.
So my first thought was, and so I love this idea because I ask questions that a lot of people don't ask, but I think that would be great. So my first thought was, well, MTA is like security guards; they're not cops. But you're saying they are cops. So
they are.
Can you explain a little bit about the difference between what a security company does, like if you hired private security to manage that, versus a police officer? How is that different? What is their authority different?
Well, they're they're sworn in under, they're given arrest powers. They're considered officers under the law. So I mean, a security guard, hired security guard. So, you know, if you have someone that has like a pistol license and whatnot, which used to be really, really hard to get in New York City. Yeah. It's a bit easier now, but still, you know, you got to do all the background checks and whatnot. You're, you're not, so in New York, it's the law. It's what they refer to as a peace officer. So you're not considered a peace officer if you're just a regular security guard. Um, that, you know, you're not, you don't have that power. You don't have that power. I mean, any, any citizen, like you'd say, well, you could have a citizen's arrest and stuff like that, but they're
Right.
not,
I,
they
I,
don't,
I
right, right. But
I'm so I'm
right. Just a regular security guard. So this is why it's, you bring it up. This is why many, companies who are serious about wanting like an armed security guard, like, if you had you know, a jewelry store or or any store for that matter. For the most part, they're going to want to hire, like a retired cop, or, or you, you may even want to hire, um, and, a cop that's not retired, but, a cop that's kind of just working off duty. So you do have arrest power. So like for me, I work in New York City. I live in Nassau County, but I'm considered police officer under New York, under New York State, under New York State law. So even though I'm not a police officer in Nassau County, if, technically, if I, if I viewed a penal law misdemeanor or a felony, I am allowed to I am allowed to take police action.
you you
Would
you
you,
are you are killing me because I have to say as a constitutionalist and all those kind of things that I focus on
right,
rights
right.
and stuff like that. You're really hitting on a really interesting topic that I want to side tangent on, which is the difference between a law enforcement officer licensed by a city or whatever versus citizen arrest. Because again,
Right.
there's some people who say, well, every citizen has the right to make a citizen arrest. You can detain somebody if you think the crime's been committed, and you can detain them. Can you kind of outline for us the difference between a law enforcement officer and a citizen arrest, and what the differences are between our rights and what we can do?
Um, it, so again, same thing, kind of like, so like you have, an armed security guard who may have a license, may have a pistol license or and a security license, but they have that license for the gun, but they're still just they're a citizen though. So, um, if you're trying to, you know, help someone that's being, that's being hurt, or, against you or your family or whatnot. And, and you hold that person or whatever. I mean, they're going to, scrutinize a bit more, maybe like, the use of force and whatnot that, that was used, because you're not a sworn officer. So,
Yeah, I mean,
um,
I don't know if I can articulate the thing. Like for example,
right,
if I saw a crime being committed and I was able to say, you need to stay right here and wait for whatever. People talk about a citizen arrest, but it's I don't know if I can articulate this. There seems to be, obviously, there's a perception difference. If an officer tells you you need to stay right here, then you're gonna obey the officer because he have the authority. But there's some that will argue that a law officer doesn't have any more authority than you do. That they have to obey by the same rules that you do. Law enforcement officers have to obey by the same rules you do, and their authority to arrest you or detain you is the same as anybody. I could detain somebody by the same authority that you have. But is that true? Like,
Right.
how is it different between law enforcement officers and the public for detaining somebody and arresting somebody?
Well, again, you're not, you're not sworn in under the state. So, um, being sworn in and having that peace officer, is in New York, having the peace officer status. Um, I have I have the right under the New York state penal law. If I see, a misdemeanor is being, uh, done in front of me, or or a felony, I do have the right to stop them. So that's where the stop question and possible frisk, it's for a penal law misdemeanor or any felony. So if what that is like some people don't know what that is. So if I have reason to believe that you have committed a penal law misdemeanor or any felony in the past, you're currently doing it. But if you're currently doing it, it would, be pretty much a probable cause. And then I wouldn't be doing a stop and question. Or if I have reason to believe that you were about to. So if people are like, well, how would like, what does that mean? What do you mean if someone was about to? Well, the thing that I could bring up, I mean, again, like say you're policing at night, you have an area in the precinct that you work, that you patrol, and there's a lot of car break-ins, and you go to roll calls where you're given your assignment for the day, and what crimes have been occurring, and whatnot, or anything major that has gone on in the area. So you go out and you patrol, and now you're in that area where there has been a large amount of car break-ins, and you you do, you stop, you happen to, like we talked before, you wait, you see, it's 2 o'clock in the morning, and no one's around, and this guy, oh, he just went through that stop sign. He didn't, yeah, okay, I'm gonna pull this guy over, and you pull him over, and now you see, like, on his seat, he's got a bunch of like weird tools, like, so you had to, like, think like, well, why is this guy, what's he doing over here? And you, obviously he has to give you his license. In New York, you have to show your license. And then you look at these guys' histories. Is it possible you're going to stop someone and they've never been, they were never arrested, they were never stopped? Yeah, it's possible, but
So let me.
usually their history will tell you a lot of stuff. But now you see these tools on the seat, that now you're kind of like, you know, uh, you got these things going through your mind. Like, is this guy, what's this guy up to? What's he doing? And then you might wait. You might not, like, so I said, oh, you pulled this guy over for going through the stop sign. You may just try to, like, maybe you notice this, maybe he doesn't even go through the stop sign. Maybe just, you notice the same car keeps, like, kind of driving around the area, and, like, why is this guy driving around? And you kind of wait to see, it's like, what, is it, does this guy, does he go, does he go over to any car? Is he trying to open the door handle? You know, is it illegal? Like, if you just, maybe, just like when you park someplace and you're not really paying attention or whatever, how many people have, like, the same car sometimes or whatnot. And maybe you pull on the door handle of someone else's car. No, that's not a crime. But take that same thing. Now you're in an area, you have you keep getting these crimes committed at night. Someone keeps breaking into these cars. And you see that this guy, he's pulling on door handles. Now, again, I just said, well, it's technically not a crime to just pull on a door, to try to open open a car, but it's enough reason to stop him. So in that situation, I would forcibly stop him. He wouldn't be allowed to leave, or her, and I would do a further investigation. Now, it doesn't mean I'm gonna hold him for hours and hours and hours, but I would do an investigation. I would
So
try to get this guy's ID. Yeah, go ahead.
let me interrupt for a moment. So first, I have to take a little boys' room break. But there was a question that came up. I highlighted it for a moment. I'm highlighting.
Yeah, I can't. Unfortunately, I am on my phone and I can't. I can't. I see the chat, but I can't. It's too small, so I can't see anything.
All right. So let me make sure you understand this question, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep my headphones on and I'm going to go to the little boys' room, and hopefully that you don't hear my microphone in the little boys' room. That would be amazing. But the point being is that, can you address this question? Silk Ghost asks, Lee, if you make a mistake during a civilian arrest, the perp could take you to civil court and sue you for damages. Police get immunity, or in some cases at least, they receive limited immunity. So while I go take a tinkle, can you elaborate on the difference between immunity? Do police have immunity to get away with a little bit more, or have a little bit more leniency and immunity for arrest versus a civilian arrest? And I'll be right back, but I'll be listening to you in the little boys' room.
Okay. Yep. So to answer that question, I don't know it was during when Cuomo was governor. Another great, another great law for me at work. He was involved. He was involved. I mean, it had to be. I work for New York City, so New York City council had to, they voted to change the law. So they basically took away what they call qualified immunity. So we still have a certain. It's like kind of a hard question. I get where you're getting at. So it used to be. I wouldn't say it was harder to sue cops. So what happened in the past was, especially in New York, people sue left and right for everything under the sun. What would happen is, even in the past, people would sue. So now I'm doing a stop or whatever, and maybe in the stop, not something, not something necessarily where you got, I mean, it could be, but even if you look at like kind of like a sort of like a lower level type thing, maybe I had you stopped, or maybe even I brought you down to the precinct. I thought you were involved in a certain crime or whatnot, and maybe it caused undue distress to you, or could have maybe even caused you to be to lose your job at work or whatnot. So now I was wrong, and you're like, no, I'm going to sue. This is bullshit. I'm this can't be allowed. So you sue. And what happened in the past is that you make your lawsuit, you make your complaint, and the city would, has their own lawyers, and they covered all this, they would, it wouldn't really, it wouldn't necessarily affect the officer themselves. Now, if they're found to be in the wrong, something frivolous, or something that was shown to be oh, this cop is, this was done because he's racist, or something as to that magnitude, and there's evidence enough to prove it. We also have our own department trial, and you're gonna wind up. You could even wind up getting fired. There's a lot with that, but it's kind of a two-edged sword. So what they did, under when Cuomo was there, they took away the qualified immunity. So now basically what they did is they made it very easy for people to sue left and right. And basically what happens is, we have our union, and, um, we have our own lawyers, and the union will defend you. But if it's found that you were in the wrong for whatever stop or whatever that you were doing, the city is not going to, they're not going to pay for you. So this is I don't know about this isn't all New York. This is just New York City. So if you're found in the wrong, so if you're like, oh, this cop stopped me, remember we have body cameras and all this stuff too. But if it's proven like, oh, this cop stopped me, I know he's racist and he's anti-black or whatever, and it's proven, you can have a lawsuit, and when you sue, the city's not going to cover it. It's gonna, I would have to pay that bill, and then you could come and now, my nice house that I have and all the stuff, I'm gonna have to I'm gonna have to pay. The city's not gonna pay. So what I say is it's a two-edged sword. The problem is that because they took away the qualified immunity, you have a lot of cops now that where before they, you want cops to, not violate people's rights, but you want cops who are not afraid to, um, address the law, to,
I
uphold the law, and
I want to.
because of that qualified immunity, losing that qualified immunity, you have a lot of cops who in the past may have taken action, and now because they're so afraid of being, like, I'm not even gonna bother really, like, trying to take action on whatever it is because I don't want to be sued.
All right, one. I got to ask you a question, and I won't mention the officer's name, uh, but I have in my lives before, my videos before, my pre-recorded videos. In Luigi Mangioni's case, there was an officer who has been sued, I think, 5 times, in relation to police misconduct. And I think the
Okay.
city or whatever settled for $78,000 on behalf of this officer. So what I was confused
Okay.
about is some of the stuff you're talking about is you're saying, well, that officer is liable for his own damages. So if he gets sued for something he did wrong, it's not on the, like, explain to me a little bit, because it seemed to me that the NYPD did pay $78,000 in damages or filings against this officer for, basically either unlawful arrests or searches or whatever,
Right.
and
Well,
settled with dollar amounts on the tune of
yeah.
78,000. How's that work?
Right. Well, I would have to know, you'd have to know specifically, like, when that happened. Because like I said, that's us losing our qualified immunity is only, it's in the last few years. So that
Okay.
officer who was involved, the one that you looked up, probably, like that's exactly what I was just talking about. He was involved in, whatever different cases, and he was found to whatever violate whatever, procedure or violate whatever law, and the city covered his damages. If that same officer, though, whatever that damage is, if that happened now, he would be liable to cover that. The city would not cover him.
That's fascinating. I just that's
So
a new.
it's a two-edged sword. I know people who, I know there's a lot of people who, they think all cops are corrupt and it's not, that's not the case. It isn't.
Yeah,
It's
yeah, and
unfortunately, are there cops that are bad, that there's no question, we do hold a lot of power. We're able to arrest people, that we are able to take someone's freedom away. It's an immense amount of power that's given to you. Um, and there should be, scrutiny, but it should be, more of a system of checks and balances. Now, like, it sounds like, oh, well, this is a system of checks and balances because if if the cops are, if they're found to be, if they did something wrong, then they found, but what I could tell you is the civilian complaint review board that we have now, it's not it's not a court. It's a bunch of civilians. It's a bunch of people who, I don't, some of them are probably, super smart or whatever, or maybe even have a PhD from some, New Mexico Institute or wherever they were. And they have absolutely no idea, no clue, what it is to sit in a patrol car. And, when you have, a gang shootout or something going on and everyone is running for the hills and we're going into a line of fire, they have no idea. So it's very easy to tell people what they should and shouldn't do, what it says in a book. Very different than actually doing, being there and doing the job. Most shootings happen within I think it's, within like, it's like less, I think it's like 10 feet, less than 10 feet. So like all these different shows and movies and everything you see where like, people are like shooting down the street and like that, it's all Hollywood. That's not really real life.
Yeah.
Most shootings are within 10 feet, and you have, you have, you have a split second to make a decision.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I love this conversation. I mean, I don't know. I mean, we may lose people on this show who are like trying to figure out what to go, but I just have so many questions about law enforcement in general. And so having you, and this is one of the things I wanted to point out. I've said many times, my channel is pretty critical of mainstream media, of maybe law enforcement overreach, and the judicial system. But I would say that even good cops don't like bad cops, right? Like there's
no, absolutely not. That's what I was going to say. And unfortunately, other than like, maybe stopping like a terrorist a threat or like saving like the president or a politician or some crazy thing. Tell me, you tell me how, I mean, you're older than me, a little bit, but you tell me how many times do you see in the newspaper, or, I mean, no one really gets newspaper anymore, but how many times do you see in social media, the good stuff that cops do? You never see it. And I could tell you, there are cops that they do stuff all the time, every day to, that help people, but stuff that people they would have no clue about, but
yeah.
because,
And I
it doesn't,
hope I can make this.
but that's not going to sell, that's not going to sell a story. So
I hope I can explain this in a way that you can elaborate on, which is that I was told, this is what people need to understand about law enforcement. They're not under, so correct me if I'm wrong. Law enforcement's not under an obligation to put their own lives at risk to save your ass, right? So if they do those things, to put their own lives at risk to save your ass, it's not a requirement of the job. You have a misconception, I think, in America, if you think that it's their job to put their lives on the risk to save you. It's not, in my opinion, their job to do that. And so therefore, when law enforcement does that kind of thing, you should be appreciative. That is not because it's their job. And you should not have that disrespectful attitude of, well, that's their fucking job. No, it's not their job to put their lives on the line and to risk their own human life to protect you. But if they do that kind of thing, it's because they're just good people and they just want to help.
Right.
People. So
right. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I mean, there are there's many different examples. You could do different scenarios. Yeah, when you're in the heat of the moment, and let's say for instance, real quick, like you're in a, a supermarket and it's getting robbed at gunpoint, and you're like, oh, I hope to, like, hopefully and 911 is on, the cops are on their way, and you're like, oh, the cops are going to save me or whatever. Uh, Hopefully, I mean, you don't know, uh, not to, like, scare people or whatnot, but you just like with any other job or anything else, you don't know who's responding to that job. So
Yeah.
you may get a cop that's there and he's like, oh shit, that guy has a gun in there. Like, I'm not going in there. I'm gonna wait, I'm gonna, you know, I'm
Yeah.
gonna wait till more cops come. Like, it's,
And I think
so
it's important.
it's exactly what you're saying,
Yeah, and I think it's important for people to understand. Like, uh, you know, I I know that if I'm in trouble, I want a cop to be able to have my back, because they're
Yeah.
armed and I'm not, right? So they're armed and I'm not. But there's no obligation on that officer's part to put their own life in risk to save mine. And if they do that, I'm super thankful. So I want to make sure that people understand, when I'm busting the balls of law enforcement, it's not because I hate cops. It's not because I have some kind of beef against cops. There are great cops. I think the
Right.
majority of cops who go into the business are because they like people and they want to help people. And they want to do the right thing. But there are bad
Yeah.
cops out there. So yeah.
Yeah. It's a call to service. What I could tell you is, like, for me personally, some of us, we agree to take that oath. Our number one job priority is to preserve life. So, I take that seriously. So even if you're someone who, I know that, you hate my guts, you hate every ounce of me breathing because you just, you had a bad experience, or maybe someone in your family or whatever it is, you have a bad taste in your mouth, you hate all cops. I still will go there, and I still will do my job, because that is what I took an oath, and I will try to protect you and help you like I would do anyone else. But that's me.
I think what you just said. I think what you just said was. I heard you say that before, and it's one of the most
Yeah.
poignant things for me to say. That you, that is what makes you an amazing human being. You
Yeah.
allow someone to say, "Fucking pigs! I can't stand you
Yep.
guys. You're pieces of shit," and you will still defend that person.
Yep.
If they're that's fucking amazing, dude. I love that about you. I think that's the way it should be. But
Yeah.
unfortunately, it's not always the case.
Right.
And you
Right.
you have the ability to realize, hey, look, I realize you don't respect me, but I'm still gonna protect you if I can. So
Right.
I think
Right.
that's amazing. Kudos for you, man. I really appreciate that.
Thank you.
Tell me a little bit. Tell me a little bit about, by the way, for those of you who don't know, and by the way, Joe from State of the Deep just joined us backstage, so I'm going to have him come on here shortly. But for those who don't know, 11 and I are going to go, and I do know 11's real name, but I don't say it online, and I'm not going to say it online tonight. But so just let you know, 11 and I are going to meet up tomorrow. We're gonna go to a shooting range, and I'm going to fire some weapons with them. It's going to be the coolest experience ever. There's going to be some NYPD that are there, I think, as well as probably some other jurisdictions as well. But I'm super looking forward to it, dude. That's going to be the most amazing thing tomorrow.
Yeah.
I've been looking forward to it for a month or whatever since we planned this whole thing.
Yeah.
So, I just want to make sure, again, maybe because I've had a few drinks, whatever, but I just want to make sure, again, I want to make sure that I understand, that you understand, and everybody understands. This channel is not anti-cop. The fact that 11 is on here he is not representing the NYPD. Understand that. Like, 11 can't represent NYPD. He just happens to be an NYPD officer, right? So he's not representing the channel. And this is the reason why we're not giving his real name, because he cannot go on and represent NYPD in that official capacity. But as an officer, I want to say thank you, man, for supporting this channel, for making me feel like I can say these things and be critical of law enforcement, and you understand that it's not personal. It's not about you. I respect what you do.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
All right, so let's get Joe. As far as Joe, are you online? Can you give me a thumbs up, man, if you're ready to go online with us? Okay, so Joe from State of the Deep is online. One, you know Joe pretty well too, right? Like you've seen him online in several things as well, right?
Yeah.
And again, if you need to go, I realize for you it's probably it's 10:40 at night. It's late tonight. I don't know what your shift is. What is your next shift? What is your next shift? Or do you have
my next shift is on Monday.
Monday.
Yeah, Monday morning. So right now, as I'm kind of funny. Right now, as we're talking, I'm barbecuing.
Yeah, and I know that you're going to get up at the butt crack of dawn to come pick my ass up to go to a shooting range tomorrow because you and I are going to hang out. That's the coolest fucking thing ever. This is I got to tell you, I am so privileged to be able to talk a little smack about law enforcement and be critical of their processes, and yet have an NYPD officer who's going to take me out shooting, and of course, caveat, as long as you don't shoot me and bury me in a ditch somewhere. The point is, this is going to be a good thing, and I'm looking forward to it. I think it's amazing.
Yeah.
All right. Do you have time for Joe to join us online?
Yeah.
Okay, let's bring him up.
What's up, boys?
Hello. Hey, how you doing?
Good, man. How you guys doing? Tipping a few?
You know what? I am tipping more than a few. While I'm having the time of my life, I tell you, I'm really having the time of my life. But it's been kind of stressful. So tipping a few has been an important thing. I know you just got off work, right? So you probably haven't had time to tip a few. But I'm really enjoying this laid back atmosphere.
Cheers.
NYPD. Thank you so much. Thanks for joining us, Joe.
Yeah.
How are you doing tonight?
Yeah, sorry I'm late. I just got home a little bit ago. So I saw you had Birdie on earlier too. I caught some of the stream earlier, but I couldn't listen to the whole thing.
Yeah. No, it was great. Birdie was great. I mean, he kind of bailed out. Well, he didn't bail out early. He was on for quite a while. But
he was on. Yeah.
So what DA? What have you done so far? Like, what's been I know you had your issues with your bags and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny because part of me was thinking, like, am I wasting a bunch of money coming out? Because I don't have any major things lined out. I have an interview. So I have an interview with a lady, and I'm going to be sketchy about this, but I have an interview with a lady that I thought I was going to meet in New York, who met a police officer, James Burke, back when she was 16 years old, and he was a cop at the time. He was not the chief of police. He was just a cop. He was, as she said in her affidavit to John Ray, he was the life of the party. He was and I think he is charismatic. He's very charismatic. He was the life of the party. He literally was having people smoke crack. But funny enough, this person who gave the affidavit said that James Burke himself did not smoke crack. He just was having everybody else come to him like he was a king. He would have them line up and come smoke crack from his pipe while he was there. So this 16-year-old who was at this party, who James Burke said that Rex Heuermann was there as well, and she gave an affidavit to John Ray. And so that individual, this female, who I won't give you her real name, but I do know her real name, but she was saying, hey, if you're going to be in Long Island, I will take you around with my husband, and I will go take you around some sites and we'll talk to you. Now, she's hard to reach. She and I have been exchanging. I'm like, I'm in New York for only like a day or two more. Like, are we going to fucking make this happen or not? I'm like, I don't want to be like rude to her, but I'm like, I love the idea that we could talk and I could have something new. Anyways, her and I haven't lined that out, but since I've been here, I've had a great time. By the way, Joe, to answer your question, how New York's going, other than losing my luggage was lost for 2 days. I've gone down. I've been at the site where Brian Thompson was shot in the case of Luigi Mangione, Brian Thompson, the shooting of the United Healthcare. I was at that site. I went to New York. To Central Park. Never seen these places. I have thoughts, by the way, about my perception of Central Park versus the reality of Central Park. I want to talk about that. But it's been a great experience. I'm having the time of my life. One and I are going to go shooting tomorrow at a gun range together and spend a day together. We may actually, One and I may actually drive the Long Island serial killer path of where all those beaches were: Gilgo Beach, Jones Beach, Oak Beach, and I may get him on some stuff like that. So anyways, Joe, I just wanted to give you an opportunity to chime in because we've been talking a lot. I'm having a time of my life. I love it. It's been amazing.
Right. Well, first of all, I remember the story you were telling, one of your streams where you talked about Burke, and they were in like a motel room or something, or a hotel
Yeah,
room, right? With that
yeah,
that
yeah.
woman. Yeah, I remember that. I remember you talking about that. Um, yeah, I mean, I'm originally from Brooklyn, and for years I lived right outside of Manhattan. So I haven't been to Long Island in a while, but I back in the day I was there plenty of times, and I spent a lot of time in Manhattan because I worked in Jersey City, which is right across the river from Manhattan. You know, Jersey City, Hoboken. I'm sure you've heard of
Yeah.
Hoboken. I'm sure one has. He's a Long Island
Oh
boy.
yeah.
I'm sure he knows all
Yep.
those areas.
Yep.
Um, but yeah, dude, it's kind of cool that you're there, you know, because it's a trip because I spent so much time in and around New York City, and you've never been there, right? This is your first time?
Never. Yeah, my
Yeah.
first time. Yeah.
I don't know. I haven't hung out in New York City in years, right? Because I've been in Colorado for the last 13 years. But I don't know what it's like now, right? At one, has it changed since COVID a lot?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, I'd say, early 2000s to, 2014, 2015. I mean, there was a point. I mean, you know, obviously I'm able to carry a firearm off duty, but, um, the Times Square was like great. You'd see tons, families. You'd see tons of people all over. Lots of tourists and everything. But once once we uh once we had De Blasio as mayor and stuff, like stuff has just gone downhill. Our crime it's definitely nothing like it was in like the late '80s or early '90s, but, um just the laws and the stuff that we have. I mean, the bail reform is crushing people here.
I've heard, man. I've heard
It's crushing people.
it's crazy.
You get people, you get these guys who are committing, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, robberies, and like, I'm not talking about, people stealing a candy bar. Like, you got
Yeah.
these guys like committing violent crimes, and they're let right back out.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Like I said, I don't know what it's like now compared to when I was coming up, going out in New York a lot. It was pre Giuliani. So
Okay.
it would have been late, very late 80s till 95, basically.
So yeah, that it was brutal. It was a lot of crime in
Yeah,
that in
I
that
was
period.
hanging out in the city when like the Lower East Side was rough. You
Yeah,
know, it was
yeah.
like you could still get a dirt cheap apartment there, and four guys would live in a little Roach Motel apartment. And it's funny when I at this during this time, I worked at a music club in New York City, a famous music club that's no longer there called The Bottom Line. It was West Fourth and Mercer. It was a really famous place. Was there since like the '60s,
Mhm.
and I worked there. This was '94, I guess, right
Okay.
before, like sort of late '94. And one of my close friends, who's like me, an Irish American, his cousins from Ireland came over to work in construction in the city. And it was like four Irish dudes, like the funniest guys you could ever meet. Like these guys were
Yeah.
hilarious. And they all moved into this really shitty apartment in like Alphabet City. And so this is, no cell phones. This was old school shit. You like knocked on the door. Like if you wanted to see if people were around, you went to their apartment, knocked on the door. And I remember one night I got off work at the Bottom Line, and just went across town, from the West Village to the East Village, and I knocked on their door, and just one of them was home. The other guys were out, and this guy was hilarious Irish guy. And one, I don't know if is Webster Hall still around?
Yeah.
Okay.
Webster Hall still exists.
Okay. So I remember
that's
it was
that's one of the few clubs that's still there. Yeah.
Yeah, because that's been there for a while.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
And I knew Webster Hall. It's the Lower East Side, right? It's 11th to 3rd, I
Right.
think, somewhere around there.
Yeah, that sounds right.
So I tell this Irish dude, he's used to going to like Irish pubs and dive bars and stuff. I'm like, I'm gonna take you to Webster Hall. So this is like a Saturday night in downtown New York City. So I take this guy from Ireland to Webster Hall, and DA, just to give you a sketch of Webster Hall, it was a club. It was 3 floors, right? 3 different floors. Downstairs floor was reggae and hip hop. The main floor in the middle was like, rock or kind of top 40, or it was kind of a little more mainstream. It was the main large floor. Yeah. And then the top floor was like a little lounge type place where sometimes there'd be a band, sometimes it'd just be like people hanging out. So I take this guy to Webster Hall, and he's overwhelmed. I mean, it's Saturday night. There's thousands of people in this place. It's a huge club. And like, it's New York City on a Saturday night. People are going hard, right? You got the people that live in the city, you got the bridge and tunnel crowd. It's a big night out. And all night, what this guy kept saying, this in his heavy Irish brogue, Joe, you've got no shame, lad. You've got no shame. Like, if I talk to a woman or like anything I did, he's like, oh, Dad, you've got no shame.
You got no shame, man.
It was just classic to see this guy. And then so afterwards, I guess I went around the block a few times to get to the point of the story, but he's like, oh, Joe, you can stay at our pad tonight. So I'm like, okay, cool. So I go back with him and I crash on the couch. And we get back to his apartment, and it's like the second you flip the light on, literally roaches scatter. Like, it's not an exaggeration. I'm sure one can attest to this. Like those old buildings. Like if I told this to somebody who didn't know New York City back in the day, they would think I was exaggerating. But literally, you come home, open the door, and flip on the light, and you literally see like 100 roaches just scatter. And I'm like, great, I'm sleeping on this guy's couch tonight, and this place is infested with cockroaches. So that was the pre-Giuliani downtown New York City days, and it was a whole different world. It wasn't gentrified yet. It was still a kind of a rough around the edges, place, and fun. It was a lot of fun.
I want to say, like, I feel so horrible. There's something wrong with me as a content provider on YouTube that I can't carry an audience, because you guys are amazing. Like, people are so missing out by not having a conversation with watching this live. Like, it just, I can't say enough how depressing it is for me to watch low viewership, because you guys are amazing. People are so missing out on not being part of this conversation, and I think it's a phenomenal. Joe, there was something you said, and I'm trying to remember what it was. There was something you said that reminded me, like, to ask one about it. Fuck, it was about you. Oh, I know what it was. Joe, if you don't want to tell this story, that's okay. You and I had a moment when you and I were meeting together for the first time in Aurora, Colorado, and when it went into Denver. You told me about a story about, and I'll be vague for a reason. you told me a story about a law enforcement officer that you were related to in NYPD, and you were down in New York City. And you know what I'm talking about, and if you don't want to talk about it, Joe, it's okay. So
no, I'll tell the story. It's actually
I would love
it's
for
a
you
funny
to tell
story, because I told one
Yeah.
when I was in your business meeting that one time, that my cousins retired
Yeah, you did.
NYPD.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he,
Please
you
tell
know,
that story to us if you're
career
willing.
NYPD guy, New Yorker, Brooklyn guy. All right. So I was, that's funny that you remember that. I was a lifeguard at the Jersey Shore when I was in my, from like 19 to 22 years old. And so one lifeguards back then, I don't know how it is now. You got one day off a week, right? You worked 6 days a week. So we had, a couple of guys that had the same day off got together and we're like, oh, we're going to go see a concert in Madison Square Garden. I can't remember what it was. It, it maybe the Allman Brothers, maybe it was, I can't remember. It's a long time ago, but so we all go, a group of us go. It's probably, I don't know, 5 or 6 guys. And we go to Madison Square Garden. And afterwards, we're leaving the concert and we're just walking down the street. And one of my buddies, someone approaches him to buy weed, right? So he goes off down the side street to buy a bag of weed from somebody, and we're all just standing there on the corner, and he's like 30, 40 feet away from us. All of a sudden, this is when the NYPD was in the yellow cabs, the undercover. Two yellow cabs just pull up from opposite directions.
I love this story.
Jump out of the cars and separate us all. Immediately separate us all. So this is a bunch of Jersey boys, hanging in the city. And so, my cousin's a cop in New York City. Now, I didn't know what precinct he was in. I didn't remember. He worked all over the city. And so now they've got us all separated, and they're ready to they think we're all buying drugs, right? It's a group of guys, they know you from the suburbs, Right. So they separate everybody immediately, and my friends are shitting. They're like, especially my buddy who was literally caught in the act of buying weed. He's freaking out. Now, this is back in the day, weed wasn't legal. It wasn't decriminalized. Right. And I'm like, all right, I got to take a shot in the dark. I'm like, hey, man, my cousin's a NYPD. And he goes, oh, yeah, who's your cousin? I tell him my cousin's name. He goes, so-and-so's your cousin? I go, yeah. He goes, hold on. My cousin was working in that precinct. It was a total shot in the dark.
Wow.
He goes into the taxi, calls my cousin. He was working. Calls him on the radio, and he's like, hey, I got a guy here. He says is your cousin. What's his name? He tells him my name. And he goes, yep, that's my cousin. Like, the guy just put on the brakes. He's like, guys. And, he told him who my cousin was. He's like, this is his cousin. And they were just they're just giving a shit. They're like, all right, guys, come on. We know what you're doing here. Just go back to Jersey. Stop, whatever. They just gave us some shit and let us go. But my friends thought I was like a hero.
Right. And I remember you telling me, Joe, I hope this doesn't, I remember you telling me you showed gestures. He was like, he checks your credentials to see if you know this officer, right? And he's like, hey, shut it down. This guy fucking knows so-and-so. Shut it down. And I'm like, that's fucking hilarious, because it's no offense, but it's kind of like it's sometimes it's not, it's who you know, right? Like, you knew a guy, he checks your credentials and he's like, all right, shut it down. This guy's a friend of so-and-so. And I thought that was hilarious. I just thought it was an amazing.
Dude, listen, because remember, they separated us.
Yeah, right.
So I was off to the side. So my friends didn't hear the conversation that I was having with this guy. Like, they didn't know that. They didn't even probably know that my cousin was a cop there. So when those guys were like, all right, whatever, shut it down. Like, my friends were like, what did you do? And then I told them the story, and they're like, "Oh my God, we're the luckiest people in the world." I mean, talk about just rolling the dice. What are the chances that I was in my cousin's the precinct that he worked
That's
for
crazy.
a long
Yeah.
time? He was a
It was
cop for a
hilarious.
long time in New York City.
And
It was
I
funny,
want to
man.
say that it's kind of funny because like it's kind of funny because like on the one hand you could look at this as a negative side, right? Like, well, those guys would have been arrested if they didn't know somebody, if they didn't know a cop, kind of thing. But by the same token, it's kind of cool. It was kind of like that moment of like, hey, look, I know this person can't be a bad guy. He's so and so's cousin. You like, he can't be that bad of a guy. So like, it's kind of funny because I get it on the one hand that it could look bad, like, okay, well, if you know somebody, you're connected, that it's going to look the other way. But you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
Well, but the thing is, it's like these are New York City cops. They're not worried about a couple of young dudes from the suburbs buying a dime bag of weed. You know what I'm saying? Like they've got real
Yeah.
shit to worry about. Like
Yeah.
this was
Right.
pre-Giuliani Manhattan. Like
Right.
one knows. I mean, it was
Yeah.
rough. I mean, there was shit going down. So this was they would listen. I'm sure it happens, or at least it used to happen all the time. They're not worried about a bunch of kids buying. They're
Yeah.
just giving you shit. They're like whatever. Like, but the fact that it just was crazy coincidence that my
Yeah, that's pretty
friends
crazy.
we
Yeah,
were
that's nuts.
happened to all be in this area where my cousin was a cop. And I had friends that were magnets for trouble. Like they
Right.
were. I was kind of like, yeah, I had my moments, but I had some friends that were bad. Like anywhere we ever went, they were somehow in the middle of trouble, right? So it was almost like they expected to get into trouble. And
Right.
when this happened, I thought for a split second, I'm like, these idiots are going to get me arrested in New York. These, I was no angel, but these guys were trouble.
I need to take a moment before we've been going for 2 hours strong. And by the way, I needed this. I needed this. I've had kind of a little bit of a struggle this week, and I needed hanging out with buddies, and I can't wait to see 1-1 tomorrow morning. It's going to be an amazing experience. But I want to ask you guys, like in the audience, why you guys have Joe and 1-1 NYPD officer. Again, we won't go into details about all the stuff, because he's going to kind of stay a little anonymous. But why you have his attention, please fire some questions at us about what you would like to know about NYPD, those kind of things. Joe, ask questions that he has about experiences as well with his when he was in Jersey and stuff like that. All those things, like, it's a great opportunity. I'm trying to get myself, by the way, to the little boys' room again because I'm staying at an Airbnb and my host is in the bathroom and I need to go there. But I just want to make sure you guys in the audience and I know you said 1-1 that you can't see the text very well. So that's the difficulty.
Yeah.
Maybe I have to pull that up for you to make it large screen. But I want to take a moment. Joe, if you can see the screen really well while I step away, if you can read to 1-1 any questions that might come up, that'd be great. I'm going to try to get myself into the restroom real quick. But if you, this is your moment, guys. I don't know how much longer we're going to go tonight. This might be wrapping up. It's late night for us on the East Coast, and we got a big day ahead of us. And early butt crack of dawn, 1-1's coming to get me at the butt crack of dawn tomorrow. So we have a long day ahead of us. I'm making videos, by the way, for our backstage members only area about my trip to New York. But anyways, while I'm stepping away, please take your moment, if you will, Joe. Help them out with telling 1-1 what questions might come out, and I'll be right back.
Yeah, I can see the feed over here.
Okay.
Sick Ghost, right? Can you see that 1-1? What's Joe's thoughts on the crazy number connections in the Luigi case? I'm not sure about the number connections. I'll be honest. That's probably one of the cases that I haven't followed as closely. But I think I've been pretty open about my thoughts on that case. That it seems to me,
yeah,
like some kind of either an operation or corporate espionage. I mean, wasn't Thompson supposed to? Wasn't he supposed to testify at an antitrust hearing or something like that?
Yeah.
Anybody in the chat who knows the details about that, feel free to fill me in on that, because that's one of the cases that I haven't followed super close.
Right.
But I've been pretty open about my thoughts. And again, I know I sound like a broken record, but I don't think everything is a conspiracy. But when
Right.
big money's
Right.
involved, I
Right.
do
Right.
believe that there's a lot of conspiracy.
Right.
1-1, what do you think about that?
What?
About
what?
the Luigi case?
There's, I agree with you. I mean, you're talking about something that's like millions and millions of dollars, right? This guy that was, Thompson, that was, murdered, had a big effect on big people's, people's, wallets there. Um, there's, there's definitely, I definitely, agree with you. I mean, even, whether, even if it was, Luigi in that moment, I mean, the fact that even like I think the gun jammed right on him,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
he was able, I mean, you got to be someone that's really trained to be at like
Exactly.
in that, I mean, we do, we go to the range, we do practices with, our gun jamming and whatever, but even that, I mean, that's, it's to get you used to, so we know kind of like muscle memory how to do
Right.
it. But no matter how much muscle memory you do, I mean, unless you're like you're in the moment, you're actively like doing, like using that tool.
Right.
It's very different, and it's sort of like, correlating that even to like the Charlie Kirk kind of thing. Like, me, and Lee are going shooting tomorrow with different rifles and stuff. A 150-yard shot, or whatever exactly it was. A 150-yard shot is not difficult at all. It's not. However, in the heat of the moment, where the threat of getting caught, and you're actually, you're actually shooting someone, taking them out, it brings a whole, it's a whole nother level.
Right. You're shooting a human being. You're not
Right.
shooting an animal or at a range. Like, all right, I shoot,
Hmm.
I had some handgun training and stuff like that. I'm not an expert, but I used to
Right.
shoot a lot. And the first thing you basically nailed exactly the first thing that I said when I saw that video. I said, whoever
Yep.
that is, they're dead calm. Like
Exactly.
they didn't even flinch when they had to clear that jam. Like in the heat of a
Right.
moment like that, I
Right.
said, there is
Right.
no way that person is just some rando person.
Right. 100%. 100%. And for people who want, like, I know everyone under the sun. Obviously, Charlie Kirk is the biggest story going on, and you know, Candace Owens making her videos every day. You want to listen to people who really have a good idea of this stuff. Obviously, you have to, do your vetting and whatever, however, do your background check or whatever on them. But listen to people who have been deployed in the military, people who are actually, who did like sniper stuff, not like, again, someone who's just evaluating, there's no way that this could have happened because of that. I don't know the guy's channel. I watched one not too long ago. It was basically, it was a former SEAL guy, and then another guy that was also like some kind of sniper, and they were just going over just some basic stuff. Even forget about even making like a whole, it's a whole conspiracy and a whole big thing. They're just talking about some of the basic info that was given to us. It doesn't make sense. the rifle that they said that was used, there is no way. And just like you, I'm no I'm no marksmanship or specialized sniper or anything myself. I've shot a bunch of rifles. It's just like a hobby kind of thing. When these guys are saying these former SEAL guy, sniper guy, and they're saying there's no way that Tyler, if it's him or whoever it was, there's no way that that person on the roof broke down that rifle that they told us in
Right.
whatever 5 seconds.
And
There's no way. And then climbed down and then put the rifle back together and buried it. It didn't happen.
Yeah.
That did
right.
not happen.
Yeah, I
And
watched DA.
Yeah.
We talked. DA and I
Yeah.
talked about this Charlie Kirk case literally from like
Day one,
right after it happened. Like literally, I was literally online when it happened. And
Me too. Yeah, me too.
Yeah, literally, like right after it happened, I was Lee and I, were literally talking. Right, that was right when we were like
we had just
collaborating.
met and it happened. Yeah.
Right.
And I was on vacation when that happened.
Right.
So I had the time. I watched every video.
Right.
Every former sniper, every special ops guy.
Yep.
I've watched so many videos about ballistics, which I'm not. I don't know crap about ballistics. I know the basics about different types of rounds. I've shot a lot of different types of rifles, but I'm not an expert at any of them.
Right.
I've shot a 30-06. I've shot 308s. I have a group of friends that are serious, gun enthusiasts. So I've shot a lot of different stuff, but I'm not an expert at it. So I don't know anything about ballistics. Anyway, I digress. Sorry, I didn't mean to go off on a tangent there. But DA and I were talking about this right from the get-go, and he was, DA, you were like really busy with other stuff. And I was like, all right, I'm jumping in this. I'm jumping in this. And I watched every video. And you see all these guys, these snipers, these are experts. Like these are real deal experts.
Right,
like
right.
Combat experts.
Stop for a second. Even one said, look, when we go shooting at the range, there's going to be people who tell you there's no freaking way that was the 30-06. There's no way. Like people who shoot weapons all the time are telling you that shit didn't happen the way that they're saying it happened. And I'm like, this is gonna blow my mind. But anyways,
that round, that 30-06 would have blown his head off.
Yeah.
No, there's no way.
I think you're right. Yeah.
I shot a 30-06, man. It's a powerful round.
Right.
Like,
it'll fuck up your shoulder. Like if you don't have that thing braced right on your shoulder, if you have a gap of a couple inches, you shoot a 30-06, it'll leave a bruise on your body. It'll beat the shit out of your body. Like you have to have that.
Well, one, I got a question
for you. It's a powerful round.
Do you remember the old, the M1 rifles?
Yeah.
Didn't the original shoot a 30-06 round? Because I know there's reissues now. They make them now, but they don't shoot a 30-06. A lot of you can pick the whatever the round is, like a 308 or whatever.
Right. I might have. I'm not. Yeah, I think you might be right.
I think the originals were a 30-06, and one of my buddies has an original M1, and it was one of the most fun rifles to shoot, man, because that thing's an old school beast, right? And a 30, and I've shot a bunch of different rifles because I hung out with guys that were special forces guys and military guys, and like I don't know anything. I would just follow along with them and pick their brains, but they would have a table of different rifles laid out and different handguns laid out. And my buddy's M1, of all the things that I shot, was the most fun. And I'm almost positive that shot a 30-06, and man, that is a powerful round.
Yep. Yeah, it is. Yep. It is. I fired a 30-06 one time, and a couple times. One incident, but a couple times, and it was it's got some power behind that bitch. And you know what? And by the way, I'm not a super gun aficionado, but somebody had made a video that said, "Hey, look, 30-06 can be loaded with different types of grain. So, is a lower caliber, or sorry, a lower powder grain going to make the difference? And maybe a 30-06 isn't all that badass of a weapon if you lower it with the grain content."
Yeah, but it's still a big round.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's like when you buy 9mm ammo, right? It's like 124 grain, 147 grain. It's the amount of pop, basically.
Right.
Coming from a layman like me, I've shot different grain 9mm, and you notice the difference. You know, there's a little more pop with a 147 versus 124 grain, and the guy, all the experts, again, I don't know any, I'm not at all super school with rifles, but I know from listening to a lot of people that are the top experts, snipers, you know, what's the guy was on the Osama bin Laden mission, the Navy SEAL Team 6 guy, Rob O'Neill, I think his name is. Did you know what I'm talking about? He's the red-haired guy. He's been speaking a lot about the Charlie Kirk thing. When you probably saw it, that guy said there is no way that he was hit with a 30-06 round. And this guy's like the guy. Like he's like one of the elite of the elite of the elite, you know, Navy SEALs. And he said it on Piers Morgan's show. He said, there is no chance that was a 30-06 round.
Yep.
So I don't know. I'm just, there's a lot of people in the, see, I can't scroll through the chat, but I see people saying stuff, and I'm, it's hard for me because I can't really, stuff goes by me and I can't.
You can't scroll up?
Okay. Yeah, I can't do anything with it. It's not my stream, so.
Yeah, good. I mean, this is all new to me. I'm still learning. Like even a year into YouTube, I'm still learning how to do this shit. I'm by no stretch of the imagination am I a live specialist, and so like my channel struggles. I struggle with the lives. I'm not even sure why I do it, but and again, I have to say, I'm so irritated. What a great moment it is for people to have you guys on the show talking about this shit. This is good shit. This is amazing shit. I'm so pissed off that people don't watch, don't tune into you guys. You guys are providing gold, and it's frustrating to me. I don't know if I just suck. I don't know what the deal is, but it's frustrating to me that you guys. What an opportunity! I just, for me personally, I want to say. I love you guys. I think I love that you guys come on. I think that we all have such great stuff to share. What a shame.
Yeah.
That it doesn't get seen by more people.
It'll build, man. You'll build even more with your lives. Look, you're a good shit talker. I'm a good shit talker, but I'm not an experienced streamer. So it's like anything. I'm pretty new to this type of stuff. But you know, I can talk some shit with the best of them when I'm comfortable.
I can't wait. I'm looking forward to your video on the that weather stuff.
Yeah, man. Oh,
yeah,
that's a big one for me. I don't talk about that with a lot of people. I live in Colorado, which has a very, very aggressive geoengineering program. So for years, I've been looking into it. And the craziest thing, Birdie was just talking about this on his stream, either yesterday or today. Like, I think maybe his stream earlier today. He was saying contrails versus chemtrails. And it's funny because the chemtrails, literally that name is sort of like the old school name. Geoengineering is a multi-billion-dollar industry, and you can, it actually cracks me up. You can go to .gov websites and see what weather modifications they do. Like they literally have websites. University of Colorado has programs dedicated to geoengineering, like in the school.
Joe,
and people still try to dispute it and say it's a conspiracy theory. It's hilarious.
Joe, I'm sorry. I have to digress. There was a United Nations treaty that basically stated we agree in the United Nations not to use weather control technology against each other. And I said 10 years ago, I'm like, why would they write that into a document if they didn't have the ability to control weather control? Like the fact that they have to agree that we will not use an ability to create a tsunami to wipe out the coast of Japan. They literally are saying we won't use these technologies against each other, and that's part of the United Nations treaty. And so,
dude,
you have
listen,
to ask
man,
yourself,
you're preaching to the choir right now, because I have, if you go to my X account, State of the Deep, I have posted hundreds of pictures of geoengineering that I took myself. And there, I posted a video of John Brennan, the former CIA director under Obama, talking about geoengineering, right? I you can find the video. I mean, it's out there. This is the CIA director talking about, oh, by the way, Sick Ghost, I know what you're talking about, the backpack with the Monopoly money. I just, it's hard for me because the stream on the right, I can't control it, because it's not my stream. But yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about, the Monopoly money. Sorry, DA jumped on and I meant to mention that to him. All right, I don't want to go off in 5 different directions at once, but one of the videos that I will do in the near future, but it's going to be one that I really, when I get really good at like editing and graphics and things like that, I have tons of stuff, including documents that I downloaded that were declassified, as I mentioned before. Bitten, the book Bitten, it talks a lot about operations that were done with, it's called SAI, stratospheric aerosol injection, right? That's when planes spray aerosol into the atmosphere, where they tested bioweapons on American citizens, right? So the to tie this in a bow, because I can go off for an hour about this. I'm gonna definitely dig into this stuff, and anybody who wants to jump in and contribute, you're welcome, because if you go to my X page, on my page, you'll see I have an AI generated picture of geoengineering trails on my X account. So you can go on there and you can see it. And I've posted, just search my profile for geoengineering. There's probably hundreds of posts about it.
Cool. Is this, there's supposed to be, so you would probably know, there's some kind of like big, like huge geoengineering thing in like the North Pole or something like that. Is there truth to that, or?
Well, in Alaska is HARP.
Maybe it was Alaska that I was thinking of.
Yeah, HARP, HARP.
Yeah,
and it's
right.
like it's basically that's like the theory. That's like the shit that like it's more than just geoengineering. That's like the thing they believe is causing major geological events and things.
Right.
Joe, like the HARP thing, I don't want to go off too much on a tangent, but I grew up very, very conservative Christian, and there was an experiment done with HARP that listed literally a rainstorm that lasted like for 40 days or 40 nights. It was like straight out of the Bible shit, and it was like, and it was like what is HARP doing? That was when I first got introduced to HARP. So I also, like One, is super interested in to hear where you want to take the conversation about HARP, because I got super into the HARP thing. And again, maybe from a spiritual perspective, I was looking into some of the correlations between stuff, but like the whole weather control thing is a major thing. I like everybody is super eager to hear what you have to say about the HARP thing.
Yeah,
Well,
just to jump in quick, I don't mean to cut you off.
no.
What's crazy, what's really like makes me nuts, like thinking about that is, because I hear all the time. I don't think he tries to hide it either. For like someone like Bill Gates, it's pretty much, I think, a known thing that he's all about like population control and all this, and he's
Oh
part of
yeah.
this super elite thing. So it makes me like, it's just like really crazy because this harp and this kind of stuff could be
Oh
used
my
for
God.
some kind of crazy population control. They
One
just
one.
think that the
One.
Well, look,
I'm
you guys,
about to.
we could go off on this kind of shit.
No, I'm about to. I'm about to. One. Like you need to understand. Bill Gates stepped down from Microsoft to go
yeah,
into basically like, like some kind of like, I'm going to save humanity. I'm going to go into like biological research and helping out with
right,
vaccines. And he said, look, uh, quarantine is going to be the word of the future. There's going to be a major pandemic. There's going to outbreak, and I am going to be on the research, and we're going to probably have 3 or 4 labs that are going to come up with solving the fix to this, and everything in COVID happened exactly like Bill Gates has said. And
right.
there's a strain of thought that said Bill Gates knew exactly what was happening. He had
Hmm.
moved from being the head of Microsoft to the new way, which was going to be this new. I'm going off on a crazy conspiracy theory, but the point being is that there's some shit there with the whole
Yeah,
Bill Gates thing. Is it a coincidence that he stepped down from being the head of Microsoft to going into essentially vaccines and all that shit, and now all of a sudden we have global pandemics and all that shit, and he's making money off of, literally, like he said, there will probably be 3 labs that will research the technology
hmm,
behind fixing the vaccine, and 2 of them will become the major programs. And that's exactly what happened in COVID. Is that literally there was 3 labs that developed the vaccine, and 2 of them became the primary focus. And it's like, I don't know if I'm making any sense, but I have to
yeah.
ask myself: is Bill Gates,
Well,
is Bill
look,
Gates just conveniently a fucking genius and happens to know where shit's going, or is there like some major thing going on?
well, Bill Gates, I'm sure a lot of the people who watch your show probably know this already, but Bill Gates's transformation into a quote unquote philanthropist was predicated by antitrust, violations against Microsoft, where he was under a lot of pressure and being deposed, about the stuff that he was up to with Microsoft. That's when he did his little switcheroo to become the philanthropist to clean up his image, right? Because of his issues with Microsoft and antitrust violations. And he
Right.
has spoken, you can find the videos, there's documentaries about him that have been done where he openly says vaccines are a great investment. So
Yeah.
he got into vaccines because of the money.
Yes. Right.
And the whole philanthropy thing was just to clean up his image. And if you
Right.
really want to put the tinfoil hat on, he was getting involved in Africa with vaccines because he cares so much about public
Yeah.
health. Because it was a third world country. He had all these investments in vaccines, and you could test vaccines on people with no informed consent in these third world countries because they don't have that there. So I think most people are on to Bill Gates by now. I would hope so. It seems like most people are on to what Bill Gates is up to, but
Right.
he's all in on, he has openly talked about, him and his cronies at the World Economic Forum, about population control
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
decades. I mean, it's one of their stated goals.
Right, and the population control. I mean, I don't want to get too far into conspiracy theory, but
get into it, man.
The
Georgia Saturday night,
right? Georgia Guidestones that keeping the population of the world under a certain population because it's better for the health of the country or for the world. You have to wonder: do these global elites have some kind of agenda to keep the world population under a certain number? It's kind of crazy. It's outside the spectrum of me and my whole true crime thing. But this is one of the things. Like Bertie, when he goes on with me, like, why don't you go down the conspiracy theories? Believe me, I'm a conspiracy nut at heart, but I'm trying to focus on true crime here, right? And constitutional issues, civil liberties, and all that shit. But believe me, like it fundamentally, I know what you guys are talking about with the whole Bill Gates thing and the population control and all that shit. It doesn't go past me. I'm trying to, like, what am I about? What is Devil's Advocates about? Is that too far for me? So,
well, we've talked about this quite a bit, you and I, DA. I've said it probably 10 times already. There's certain things that the power structure, it's so high up the ladder. It's so, it's at the top of the pyramid. We're never going to officially know about this stuff. But what I've always said, if people tell you who they are, believe them. And if all these global elites are saying you'll own nothing to be happy, we're going to live in a surveillance state, et cetera, and they have all these global banks also in on these agendas, chances are they're going to be able to make those things happen, right? Mm-hmm. So I don't care about, what proof do you have? When you have these giant entities, global banking cartel and governments, and they all kind of adhere to this ideology of global governance, right? This is not even controversial at this point. They state it openly. And population, control. You should be able to, I think personally, intelligent people should be able to look at things, and you don't need a printed document from the United States government telling you this is going on to know that certain things are going on. For example, geoengineering. I'll just tell you guys, years ago, I was emailing the FAA. I was emailing the Colorado government about what's going on with all this geoengineering that's going on. Because Colorado it's pretty hardcore here. And they would just either not respond or they'd push you off to somebody else. These are all things that the globalists and the, power elite people have spoken about for years. Like, DA, you just talked about the population thing, the Georgia Guidestones, right? What did it say?
Yeah.
Was it 300 million? They wanted to reduce the population to?
Yeah.
Wow.
Anyway, sorry guys. I went off on a tangent for a minute there.
No,
that's all good.
Yeah, go ahead.
Super interesting.
So here's where I'm going to go with this. As much as I absolutely love what's going on tonight, one needs to get his ass up in less than like 5 hours to come pick my ass up and go shooting tomorrow morning. So we should probably wrap up for his sake, if not for my sake as well. We've got a long day ahead of us. One. I can't wait to meet you in person for the first time. Thank you so much, man, for coming on the show tonight and sharing some thoughts. I love your brutal honesty about things, about how things go. It's been phenomenal. Joe, thank you also for showing up tonight. I think we need to wrap up pretty soon because I need to try to at least give one a chance to come pick my ass up in the morning, because otherwise he might be late. And I don't want to make him late because I'm so excited about it. So thank you guys both for coming tonight. Does any more comments that either one of you want to make in closing before we shut up tonight?
Thanks for having me. I appreciate.
Yeah,
I'm thankful to get to connect with you guys. I appreciate it, and thanks to everybody in the chat. I wish I was able to read more of the comments in there, but I appreciate it.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, thanks for having me, and don't be afraid to keep asking questions, and that's what this is all about: working together, try to get to the truth.
Here,
Yeah,
here.
and I will say this as a final closing thought. Like 1-1, I have talked about 1-1 coming on the lives before in the past, and as he, I understand. I used to work for a government agency, right? And so it was clear to them that you cannot represent that government agency. You can't go on to a YouTube channel and say things that might be perceived as you representing the thoughts and opinions of the company you represent. So 1-1 coming on here as an NYPD officer and his experience, it's a big deal for him because he can't come on as a representative as NYPD. And please understand that. So 1-1, thank you so much for coming on and sharing some of those candid moments. I can't wait to meet you in person. Joe, thank you so much for coming on tonight. It's been amazing. Bertie was on earlier. He can't hear this, but this has been a great moment. I needed this. I can't wait, 1-1, to meet you tomorrow and to see you in person. I'm super excited. Joe, again, you and I have some good things in the future. We have so many big topics to talk about. It's been an amazing experience. I want to say basically good night to everybody. Thank you from New York, live from New York. It's Saturday night. I'm on Long
buddy.
Super excited to be down in New York. I'm stoked. I feel like I could have asked 1-1 a million more questions. Joe, you and I have so much more future going on conversations that we're not even getting started. But thank you all. Have a good night. Thank you all for everything. Please like and subscribe to the channel if you're not doing so already. Check out some of my videos for members only. I am doing coverage of my Long Island / New York trip, giving you some insights that I don't think is appropriate for the public. But if you're members only, you get bonus content. So consider for $3. It's only $3, and you can sign up and you get all kinds of content, including all of my personal feelings. Like, for example, in the Long Island serial killer case, I just literally drove today and told you if I was a serial killer, how would I pick victims and where would I bury them? Can you believe that I just fucking said that on a video? I did a whole video about if I was a killer, here's the victims I would pick, and here's where I'd bury them, and here's how I would stage the bodies, and here's what I would be thinking. And I'm not like Rex Hearman. That shit's fucking up. Content. All right. Thank you, good gentlemen. Thank you. 1-1.
Yep.
Can't wait to see you tomorrow morning. Thank you so much.
Yep.
Brother.
Thanks for having me. Take care, boys.
Take care, everyone.
Soon.
Yep.
Take it easy. Everybody,
Good night.
Good night.